Sup everybody, welcome. Hey, today is it gonna be a chill day? Is it gonna be a crazy back and forth? We don't know, because a couple things are gonna be at the focus, especially with Honkai Star Rail Kafka dropping. We're gonna be talking a bit about her. I did have the opportunity to play on a different account already, but we'll see if we can showcase her here on the stream as well, because as you guys may know, friends might already let's see this. Oh, look, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Look, I don't even need to try. I already have Kafka. I don't even need a summon for her myself. Look, she's built already. Eye of the Prey, pretty nice. If you're using Eye of the Prey, the probably only need about like 10% more effective hit rate, give or take, and you should have like 100% accuracy. Let's see, anybody else? Okay, we got another Kafka. I'm wondering if there's anybody who got Kafka with her weapon. Good night and sleep well. This one is pretty good as well. The weapon's nice. What about the other one that we saw? The level 71. Does this one have the light cone? No, they also use good night and sleep well. So yeah, we're gonna be looking at that for sure. Doing some relic grind, and we have a special guest today. Finally, we get to talk to somebody about this, kind of have a little discussion here back and forth, and kind of wrapping things up here now. This is the second last live stream. Saturday's one will be the last one. Maybe we'll do a little longer one. We'll see. I don't know. Don't want to drag it out, you know, kind of like a bandage. If it hurts, just peel it off and call it a day. I haven't really been going too hard on the Honkai Star Rail, especially the BP. This is the thing about me. Like, once I realize that once I can see the end goal, it's basically enough for me. But I'm playing it at my own pace now. I'm really trying to build up Clara. I'm not gonna level units up like crazy yet. I have a bunch of resources still. Nowadays I've been just grinding this relic domain, so really trying to get a good set. Believe it or not, I have been struggling. Very, very hard. I have yet to get a crit rate body piece, despite the number of body pieces I have gotten. Not a single crit rate. Not one. Not a single one. I've also exchanged for it. I've done everything I can, got a ton of them, but no crit rate. Surprisingly, I haven't gotten a double crit stat line for the glove piece either. I've been exchanging a lot of these as well, been grinding them out. No double crit rate for the helmet piece either. Have a couple ones that shows promise. This one could roll a crit rate. So this one could roll a crit damage, right? So there's hope. There's definitely hope. The copium is going strong. Does Kafka need a permanent friend like Jing Yuan and Ting Yun? Like Kafka, ideally you want another unit on the team that can help her out with her multiplier, the damage over time multiplier. You want other damage over time units. I wouldn't necessarily say there's a strict unit that has to go with her. Like Branya and Seele are like match made in heaven. Ting Yun and Jing Yuan, some would say, like should be always on the same team. Stuff like that. But I wouldn't say there's a specific. I would say Ting Yun and Kafka are really, really good together as well. Just because her attack percentage is the attack percentage buff scales extremely well with Kafka, and the Branya's crit damage buff isn't as good, because for most people's Kafka, you're not gonna have really high crit rate to the point where you can take advantage of the increase in crit damage, right? So that's the thing. The thing with Kafka is, if you're trying to balance crit rate, crit damage, attack, effective hit rate all at the same time, you're gonna be kind of like Like, I don't know why you would want to do that, because the crit stats are not as important on her. You could make use of them, but most of the time when it matters, it's not that important. So I don't think Branya and Kafka really go that well together, as opposed to Kafka and someone like Tingyun. So yeah, I don't think Kafka actually has a strict unit, unless in the future there's a 5-star DOT support that comes out. Maybe that's going to be the unit that's like, you have to play this unit with Kafka. Why is my I feel like my monitor is weird. Okay. Cal here's Cal says, hello Warriors, I'm here, what we talking about / miss. Oh, the stream just started, you haven't missed anything. Today we're going to be talking about, we have a guest speaker, so we will have the guest speaker on maybe in 15 minutes. They're kind of getting ready right now. Wake up unit says Kafka, Sampo, Pella, Silverwolf, Healer, Shielder. Yeah, pretty much. You can instead of Sampo, you can also use Luca. Some people would even say is better than Sampo. Instead of Silverwolf, if you don't have Silverwolf, you can choose to bring Tingyun, or you can bring someone like Asta. That could be good for Kafka as well. So Kafka, Sampo, Asta, or Tingyun, and then Healer, Shooter, that could work as well. But there's an aspect of your kit where you want to apply additional debuffs on the enemy, so then you can deal more damage. So the agility is also good as well. So if you want, you can bring Kafka, Sampo. So instead of Tingyun or Asta, you can bring Pella, right? So Kafka, Luca, Kafka, Sampo, Kafka, Luca, and Sampo, and then you can bring a healer and shielder. Kafka, Luca, and then Pella, and then healer, shielder. There's plenty of variations right now, so if you're pulling on her banner, there's a good chance you're probably going to end up with Luca or Sampo. A good chance, like if you're just that unlucky, you got like 23 servals and and got like one Kafka, then hey, I guess you're just unlucky, my friend. But let's see, let's test our luck. So there's no gimmick here, people. Look, no gimmick. I have only 10 pity. So this is second page, third page. I'm literally only at 10 pity, and I don't even have guaranteed. So if I get this, Kafka wants me. That's all I'm saying. If she comes home, it means she wants me, not the other way around. Unlucky. Look at that, Sampo. See, there you go. There's your Kafka best buddy. Causes wait. I thought you said you weren't pulling. I'm not pulling. I'm not pulling. That doesn't count. That's just me building pity. I just built pity right there. That's it. I'm at 20 pity now. But let's build a Kafka team and see how she performs. Let's use this team right here. So, oh crap, my Sampo isn't built. Maybe I'll do a Kafka hyper carry team. How's that? I'll do a Kafka hyper carry team. So challenge, support. Let's take a look at the detail here. Oh, this one actually has the light cone. Oh, they just got the cloak here as well. After hit rate 35%. Yeah, they're doing good. Let's try this. Even though their body pieces is it's kind of whack, but This team, I have a much easier time autoing with it, cause that's right. Give it to her. Nice. Both Ting Yun and Silverwolf will auto attack quite a bit here, so I think in term for Kafka, that's a very good thing. Okay. Here comes a big damage. 50k, not bad. I mean, it isn't like anything too crazy, but it's certainly respectable damage. And do remember, this guy doesn't have their body piece leveled up either, so missing a little bit over there. But the thing about Kafka's damage is that it's very consistent. It's very expected. You don't really have anything, because most of her damage isn't relying on crit. It's just raw damage output, so it's very consistent damage, and it's like every turn it's the same damage. Like, oh, never mind. That's what I've noticed playing her. There's no surprises. It's like for Seele going in, you're like crit. For Kafka, it's just like, okay, she's Kafka. She's gonna do Kafka things. Nothing surprising over here. She generates quite a bit of energy, but just by herself due to her follow-up attack, along with if you pair her with Ting Yun, that's just going to make life a lot easier as well. So I really like this hyper carry team, although the free-to-play variant of Sampo with or Luca is also really strong, right? But this one is really just letting Kafka take over and do her thing, which, as you guys can see, she's more than capable. For reference, I can play my Jing Yuan after this, but it's not a fair comparison per se, because my Jing Yuan is is E2, but this Kafka is, I think, E0 S1. I'm gonna double check afterwards, but I think it's E0. E0 with her weapon though. I think the main difference between Kafka and Jing Yuan would be like Kafka's damage feels like it's more consistent. Jing Yuan is so backloaded. Jing Yuan's damage is so backloaded that it at this point it's like it's become a detriment to his kit and his success. Kafka, while her damage isn't like instant, like you don't deal everything in one turn, but it's very consistent. Like that, I don't know how many more times I can use the word consistent without sounding broken, but that's honestly. Ooh, let me add that. Okay. Let's see. Support. Do I still have that guy? Okay, I do have that guy. So let's take a look. I didn't see his Eidolons. Oh, that was E1. That was E1. Okay, this would be a much better comparison then. Where's my Ting Yun, my Jing Yuan team? So this is my Jing Yuan team. You guys see this? Pretty much the same character. Switch Locha out for Bailu, which I honestly don't think it matters very much. The other one was level 80. My Jing Yuan's level 75, but my Jing Yuan does have an extra Eidolon. He has E2. Which I have to agree, it's not fair, and my cloak is leveled up as well, but that person had 15 everything else, which I do not. So my Jing Yuan only has this. So, and my Jing Yuan doesn't have his full set effect either, because I have to run this. So Jing Yuan has an offset. I think my Jing Yuan has a little more talents compared to that Kafka. I wouldn't say overall it's like completely fair, but like to get a rough idea, because they're both lightning, and this is the enemies are all so weak to lightning, so this is a very like easy to gauge fight. you guys should be able to tell. Like Kafka, I think in my opinion is just slightly better. Like people get really upset when I say, "Oh, Walrus, didn't you like see the video where like Kafka Jing Yuan took 4 extra turns?" Whereas it's like, I don't know. I feel like comparisons. I'm not trying to make excuses for Jing Yuan, but like the guy really struggles if you don't have his light cone. So if you want a fair comparison, you should at the worst have E0S1. If you use E0 free to play, it's really not fair for Jing Yuan because Jing Yuan, like he's quite dependent on his light cone. Jing Yuan's light cone is a huge boost to the damage. Yeah, like Jing Yuan just casually dropping 80k, 100k, stuff like that. Again, I know it's not 100% fair. I think I probably have I don't know, like give or take. Let me see. I don't even remember specifically. I learned to take the added card by Jing Yuan's big attack and seal all and all the main. Yeah, you see, like. But then again, like most of the damage is coming from the Lightning Lord. You have kitty pets. Kitty and 2 kitties are duking it out in the background. They're PvPing. Like people don't understand that the difference between a free to play light cone Jing Yuan and his signature light cone is a big difference. Out of all the characters we have right now, Jing Yuan, the limited characters I'm saying, Jing Yuan is the one that has the biggest discrepancy between his free-to-play light cone options and his signature light cone options. DPS, of course. Kafka is fine with a free-to-play light cone. Blade is fine with a free-to-play light cone. Seele is fine with a free-to-play light cone. The only guy that like you notice a big difference is Jing Yuan. So when you have tests that's like E0 free-to-play, right? And then it's like, that's why I said in my video that Kafka is more free-to-play friendly. Kafka, you can just pick E0 Kafka, forget about her Eidolons, forget about her light cone, and you can just roll with it, right? And her teams are very free-to-play friendly. I mean, not to say Jing Yuan's teams are not, but I'm just saying, if you want a true fair comparison, do E0S1 comparison, and then you'll see. You'll see that Kafka is better than Jing Yuan, but not by the large margin people believe her to be right now. People right now are saying like Kafka is like miles above Jing Yuan. Like Jing Yuan is just garbage compared to Kafka. I'm not saying Jing Yuan's better than Kafka. I'm saying Jing Yuan is slightly. Go watch the video I said. Kafka is probably low S tier, whereas Jing Yuan is like mid to high A tier in terms of DPS. And I think that's a fair comparison. I'd say the worst is Kafka is high A tier, but Kafka probably is low S tier. Blade is like mid S tier, and Seele is like S plus tier. Seele is in a tier of her own still. Blade and Kafka are roughly along the same lines, and then Jing Yuan is one below that. I don't think that assessment is wrong. I truly don't. Like for anybody who think that is not an accurate assessment of Jing Yuan, Kafka, Blade, and Seele, I honestly would like to hear why. Because out of all the characters that I played and tested and stuff, that Kafka does not, I repeat, she does not feel like a power creep of Jing Yuan. She does not. People want to hear it. People want to be like, oh, Kafka power creep Jing Yuan. Jing Yuan is like ass cheeks. She didn't. That's the problem. She didn't. She did not power creep Jing Yuan. People think she did because people are only probably evaluating her at E0 free-to-play weapon compared to a E0 free-to-play weapon Jing Yuan. And I'll say it again, that is not a fair comparison to Jing Yuan because a lot of his power is put into his light cone, which you guys could be like, oh, well, Walrus, that's not our problem. We didn't design the game like that. Well, it's not fair to give an assessment to a character where you're going to be like, oh, we're going to omit like a huge part of what makes him strong, right? And let's not pretend that free-to-play players can never, ever in a million years get a E0 S1 Jing Yuan. That's not the case. It's just you don't want to get it. You would rather invest into characters that are more free-to-play friendly. But at the same time, people are also like, oh, husbando is my husbando. I would do anything for him, but anything but invest into his weapons. right? It doesn't make sense. So it's like, if you're going to evaluate a character, you have to be fair about it. And I think E0 S1 is a fair evaluation. I'm not saying it has to be. I'm saying this is what's the fairest. You're going to have other characters in the future who have a lot of power put back into their light cone. You're just going to ignore their light cone and just evaluate them at E0 free to play. I don't think that's fair, right? So I think right now a lot of content creators, for the sake of getting that getting the click to be like, oh my god, insane, crazy new DPS, Kafka completely destroys Jing Yuan, insane power creep. Like, they want the click, they want that hype, so they're gonna push that narrative a lot more. Whereas in actuality, the difference between these two characters isn't nearly as big as people are trying to make it out to be. And again, people think just because I'm defending Jing Yuan is because I'm a huge Jing Yuan simp. I've said in the past, this man has many problems. This unit has many problems. In fact, even with his light cone, if you were to compare him to some even like free to play, remember the Mr. Poke even made videos comparing a Jing Yuan to a Whelp. Like, this man is not doing well by meta standards. I agree to that. But to say that Kafka power creeps him, do you guys know what power creeps means? It's like, basically it makes him irrelevant. You basically forego Jing Yuan for Kafka, right? Because Kafka is the superior version of Jing Yuan. That's just not the case. That is not the case. That's the narrative people wants to push, is that you don't need Jing Yuan anymore. You can forget Jing Yuan and just pull Kafka. Whereas I think if you do want to play Jing Yuan, you do like this character, you could still wait for his rerun and skip Kafka. It's fine. But I understand people who are super diehard Kafka fans right now are basically like, Jing Yuan sucks. Like, I just fucking forget about this guy. Go for Kafka. She's better in every way, shape, and form. That's the narrative people are trying to push. And it's like the Ganyu versus Ayaka discussion all over again. Just because Ayaka is better than Ganyu in terms of like their respective roles as DPSs doesn't mean that Ganyu is immediately useless in the game. Jello Impact says, I lost my Kafka 50-50 to Ice Ball. There you are, Jello. I mean, it's okay. Jello is ready. So people, we today have a guest speaker. This is my Discord mic for people who are wondering why I'm pulling out a separate mic. This is my Discord mic. Jello here is going to be joining us today in our friendly discussion. So people, if you have questions for both Jello and I, feel free to throw them in here. All right. Dimfest, now Walrus tastes how Eula mains feels. Well, the thing is, as you can easily tell just now, my Jing Yuan cleared that faster than the Kafka did, and Kafka was E1 S1. My Jing Yuan is E2 S1, and Kafka's damage just now was like 50,000-60,000. My Jing Yuan was dealing like 100,000. And remember, my Jing Yuan has yet to even max out the boots. My Jing Yuan doesn't have full on set. My Jing Yuan is still using a 4-star, right? Like, my Jing Yuan could probably do 120,000-130,000 if I have all this stuff actually properly maxed out. 130,000, like, is that something to scoff at? In the overworld, no buffs, not simulated universe, that is not like peanut damage, right? Like, come on, let's be honest. How many people here are easily just casually hitting for 130,000 crit? So to say that Kafka completely destroys Jing Yuan is not really fair. And of course, MOC 10 right now is not that friendly to Jing Yuan because he gets CC'd. If this man gets CC'd, everything just falls apart. But yeah, at their peak, if you're to compare peak Kafka to peak Jing Yuan, she is better. Peak Seele, peak Jing Yuan, Seele is better. Peak Blade, peak peak Jingyuan, Blade is better. Again, I'm not saying that Jingyuan is better than them. I'm just saying that hey, at least my Jingyuan so far is still competitive. But yeah, let's get Jello in here. Jello is already here. Let's see. All right, let me join the call. Something is wrong. It's low.
Okay, I see. I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Hello. Chat, can you hear Jello?
What's up, people? How y'all doing?
There you go. Yes, they can. They can hear you.
I had to mute. Yeah, I had to mute your stream because I was hearing you double. So now we're good.
Perfect. I'm just adjusting your audio levels right now so it doesn't peak.
Sounds good. No problem.
Okay. All right. So let's switch to the Genshin page because it seems like oh wait, my Genshin's not even open. Psych.
No problem. I actually think it's a pretty interesting topic, the Kafka versus Jing Yuan, because it's kind of like it's a similar debate that I've been having with people with like Wanderer and stuff like that. Like I feel like he's the same sort of thing. You can't really judge him at C0 with a 4-star weapon without C6 Farzan because he's trash. Like you have to invest in him. It's not really fair to judge him without that stuff because it's not how he's meant to be played. It's an interesting topic.
Yeah, it's but like you like as a content creator, right? So for people who don't know, Jello Impact is a fellow, I would say, commentary content creator. Would you categorize yourself as commentary?
Well, I make guides as well as like meta discussions as well as commentary. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Jello Impact is a fellow content creator, so he likely has a different perspective from you guys who are like mostly just viewers, because as content creators, we're constantly trying to have discussions, conversations, or after we see something interesting, we're trying to start a conversation, and oftentimes it's very difficult. So I don't know if you also have this, Jello, but most of the time it seems like people don't want to have like an open-ended discussion. They usually have like a preconceived notion of something, and then they want to build towards that narrative.
Right.
But not everybody. Like there are people who are definitely open to having like discussions. They can sway either or. And you've seen me on live streams thinking one thing, and then after chat says some stuff, and then I eventually like pivot, right? Like I'm like, okay, I see where you guys are coming from. So like,
right.
That's how I want to have conversations, but that's not how most people have conversations right now. Especially after doing Genshin for so long, I can see like the Kafka, like the mommy milker lovers are really out here trying to make a case for themselves. Like they're really trying to push the narrative that Kafka is like the second coming of Christ kind of situation, you know.
I saw a tier list today where she was rated S plus tier right behind Sela.
That is inaccurate to that is inaccurate to say the least. She is not. I don't think she's close to Sela. I think HoYoverse is very smart. Like let's first look at this from HoYoverse's perspective. Then we can look at it from players' perspective. So the first patch, because to be completely honest with ourselves, do we think HoYoverse did not account for the difference between Jingyuan and Sela's performance? Do you, like, Jello, do you think HoYoverse is oblivious? Are they like scratching their heads right now being like, oh my god, why is Jingyuan so much weaker than than Sela? Wow, we didn't plan for this. Or do you think like they already knew when they first came out, like, we're gonna make a really strong character and then another solid character, right? Like and then it's up to the players to pick and choose which one they want. Which one do you think? How do you think HoYoverse went about doing this?
Yeah, I think you could make the argument that first few patches of Genshin, maybe they didn't know fully exactly what they were doing, but at this point they've made literally billions of dollars, and it's not like no one's playing their game at HQ. It's not like they can plug in their own artifact stats to exactly what they want and test them out and run. Like we're trying to deconstruct and run simulations ourselves. They literally make the game off of simulations, I'm sure. So like And what is easier to simulate than a turn-based game with only 2 buttons, right? As opposed to Genshin, which is, you know, like the open world, like there's so many different interactions that they can't account for. Whereas this, like, that's got to be the easiest thing to power balance compared to Genshin, anyways.
Yeah.
So of course they knew what they were doing.
So
in my opinion,
the difference between Jingyuan and Seele is like night and day. Like if we're talking about like
Sure.
meta standards, is like it's very obvious people, if they have both of these characters equally invested, let's just say E0 S1, it's already very clear who is like superior, right? So
I guess the only thing you could argue is that Zila's teams are sort of more fleshed out, whereas Kafka doesn't really have any really good 5-star synergies. Like you can buffer as a hypercave, but it's not like there's any other dot 5-stars. So you could argue, like, I think it would also be a little bit irresponsible if she was SSS plus tier right now. It'd be really irresponsible because now they basically can't make any good future dot 5-star characters to bring her power up. Like that seems really weird to me. There's no way.
It's like Hoyoverse has been very smart in that I don't think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, both Jello and Chat, I don't think I've ever seen a gacha game balance their old characters so well in their reruns. Like the amount of money they're making out of characters that are like 2-3 years old in a gacha game is just unheard of.
Yeah.
Like all the gacha games I've ever played, like 2-3 year old characters, those are like dead units. Like you'd be lucky to see them even have a legit rerun. Oftentimes they just throw them into a shop somewhere and you can exchange them for like crap tokens you get in the game, right? Because they become irrelevant to the game. But like to see someone like Tartaglia, someone like Zhongli, like even Ganyu, which is like coming back and still pulling in like respectable numbers, it's like, it's crazy to me. And how they achieve that is by limiting power creep to a bare minimum. Like we nowadays we say utility creep because that's basically like a new thing that they're doing. Is basically like, for let's use Fontaine for example, they're creating the Numia, what's it called, like the
Uja and Numa.
Uja and Numa.
I've heard that pronunciation.
Uja and Numa systems are basically utility features, and again they made it very clear we are not going to make this system a necessity for you guys, right? So, but these are utility features that now newer characters have that older characters just wouldn't. And this utility creep, I'll just continue using that term, is their way to incentivize new characters. It seems like they almost need more reason for people to pull new characters as opposed to just saving for the old OP ones, right? So they have
especially because you can just hop in and grab yourself a C2 Raiden or a C2 Nahida, and then literally what do you have to pull a new unit for? Like literally.
So like they because they want to keep their old characters relevant, they've now created a new situation for themselves where they need to continue innovating, but at the same time they cannot do it in a way where it leaves a sour taste in players' mouths. Be like, oh, you're gonna force us now to pull new characters? That also doesn't work. So like, I don't know how long they can keep doing this. How long can they continue to balance units perfectly and have units from like patch 1.0? I mean, not all characters has survived this process, right? I'm sure Eula, Klee are like the fallen comrades among.
What's interesting about Klee is that she's a little bit underrated nowadays because people have completely forgotten about her. And although she is kind of clunky to play, she's on a similar power level to Ito, maybe even a bit higher than Ito in a monopyro team. And if you believe in people's pre-release calculations about Linny, it's possible that he's a little bit better. It's also possible he might just be a side grade or even slightly worse than Klee, which is interesting. But he probably will be a little bit better. It just depends on if you can get away kind of without a shielder or something on his team. Because if you have to start running a shielder, since he's a charge attack user, it's going to be tough. So I don't know. Or it's pretty.
Or we can just run the most OP character ever released today, Dia, right? Like just have Dia, and all your problems are solved. What Mono Pyro also needing a shield? Hey. Because you're scared of interruptions. Wow, it's almost like there's a tailor-made unit that everybody skipped.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting. She's actually looking like she's going to be slightly edging out Zhongli on the team because number one, of Linny's buff. Number two, she has more reliable tenacity of the millilith procs. And number three, she actually produces a pretty decent amount of energy for Linny, whereas Zhongli's energy duration is not as good for him. So she actually could be the premier comfort unit in that team. Although Zhangling, it's going to be hard to beat her DPS if you can get away without a shielder.
Yeah, that's true. I think it also depends on how much you want to invest into Linny, right? If you
Yes.
are doing the bare minimum, then yeah, you might need a secondary like unit that can deal good damage, like Jiangling start becoming a good option. But if you already like going like, I mean, E0 even getting his signature weapon, then
His signature weapon is huge for him.
Yeah, Dia's suddenly looking very good to have.
Yeah,
right? So
that's right. That's exactly. I said this in my video. If you're gonna be going for a comfort option, he's kind of a dolphin character. Like he really is gonna get a lot from the weapon and constellations. It's kind of well, for me, I build and test every character at C0 with 4-star weapons, so I'm a little bit worried about his performance on my account, to be honest.
Like, I think it's very clear now HoYoverse has a couple different category of 5-star characters. There's the ones that are like, okay, it's insane already at E0, like even free to play weapon. We're talking like the Kazuha, the Yalans of the 5-star rosters. These units oftentimes are just like a tier slightly below, if not even rivaling Archons, right? Their performance and consistency. So these are like the premium limited 5-stars. Because I think the Archons are truly, if we're talking about quality of units, the Archons should be in a tier of their own. Again, we're not talking about strength and DPS or whatever, just quality of units. When with the Archons, they're like the best at their niche, right? And then we have these really premier top grade 5-star limited units like the Kafkas, the Yalans, and then below them usually are like the really solid characters where you probably need to get like their signature weapon to unlock their like oftentimes you'll find the DPSs, usually that's where they are. Like the best DPSs in the game are like a tier below Kafka and Yelan. Talking about the Hathams, the Ayakas, the Nilus. People think like, oh, Nilu's not a DPS, but like the Nilus, the Hu Taos, usually you'll find that's the tier, right? And then below that, in my opinion, they have another tier of characters. The reason I put, but if these characters are fully invested into, oftentimes you'll find they outperform the E0, E1, and signature weapons. So like now this tier is like the freaking Scaramouche. Like Scaramouche at E0 with his signature weapon, if you have a C6 Faruzan, is better than all the other DPS that was the tier above. But like you see, it makes sense though. It should be, because you're also investing into like a C6 4-star. But you see, the catch here is if you don't have that C6 4-star, he, like you just said earlier, he feels so like miserable to play. But like you see, this is a whole new category of units that HoYoverse is like, okay, you love this character and you want to super hyper invest into this character, then you have to super hyper invest into another character to make this character. This is where Ito, Zhao nowadays, in my opinion, Scaramouche, all the mono teams are gonna fall into this category. And I like, it's crazy to me that this even works, because like how bizarre of a situation where you're asking people to invest not only into the 5-star character but also likely their weapon, and then another 7 copies of a 4-star character just to make them feel amazing.
It's actually wild.
Yeah, and it works so well for them. They've made bank just off of this, like these 3 different categories of units alone.
It's actually, it's wild to me. They really, like, you can see them kind of play with the balance, right? Like they started with Raiden and they made Raiden, in my opinion, the biggest. We should not get into a Raiden debate today, but in my opinion, they made Raiden as a really good DPS, even at C0. But you do need really good artifacts for her. But they tested out, will people go for the C6 Kujosara to like buffer up to that next level, and those constellations, that was a test. Then they went to Ito, they toned down the constellations a bit, but they kind of buffed up Goro, and they was like, will people go for this? And then they went I would say maybe even further, which they made Wanderer maybe even a little bit worse at C0 than, I don't know about worse than Ito, maybe, I don't know, it's hard to say, but worse than Raiden for sure. And then they overtuned Faruzan like crazy. It's like they've been playing this funny back and forth game to test where where will people's limit be in terms of the support C6? Because it's essentially it's like I wished for I had a stream where I wished for C6 Farazan, and I ended up getting I ended up getting one copy of Wanderer, two copies of Wanderer, one copy of Jean, and one copy of Kokomi. And I still had to wish further than that to get my C6 Farazan. And it was scary.
It is yeah, like the amount of money that people can end up spending for like a C6. I think a C6 5-star on average is like $1,600, and then an like average for a C6 4-star was like $600. So there's still, on average is still $1,000, but imagine 600 something dollars for like a 4-star unit.
And of course you can plan out over time, like you could plan out over the next like 2-3 years to get your C6 Farazan just by putting 20-30 wishes every time, but it's pretty copium. That's pretty hard to do.
How many people like are actually by then, like would there not be a Nemo hyper carry to even play by then? But like, would you say that these C6 4-star dedicated supports are more what's that called? It's safer from power creep than the hyper carries that they're supposed to be supporting?
I would say, let me think. Because when you look at someone like Kujo Sara, no, because she has such a limited buff. So her buff only works for Electro DPS windows that are really short. So she has really poor synergy with basically everyone except for Raiden, really. Like, you can use her with Tiching or Yaimiko, but those are much better off being played in Aggravate, and you really want Fischl for that. So it's really just for Raiden, whereas Goro, I guess, I don't know, what are the odds of them doing another defense scaling hyper carry that doesn't have something weird in their kit that makes them not work with Goro? So but Farazan is kind of an exception because she works with Zhao and Wanderer, but I would argue that Farazan is the best character out of the three, so when she's at C6. So I don't know. It'd be tough to say.
Yeah, what I'm scared of is there comes a point where there are specific C6 4-stars that are just linked to certain units. Like you mentioned with Kujo Sara, it's going to be very difficult for her to support another Electro Hyper Carry unless the new Electro Hyper Carry does very similar things to Raiden. Like
Chlorine, let's go.
I mean, didn't they say she's a 4-star?
No, that's cap.
That's cap. Really? No.
That's cap. There's no way.
She comes out as a 4-star. Jello just deletes his channel.
No. She's limited 5. She's not no standard bull. She's not no 4-star. She's a limited. She's gonna be the Yelan of this gen. Yes.
Isn't that what people said about Dia? Is that not what people were like? Dia's gonna be crazy, like the flame main, like the new standard, the new pyro standard, and comes out and she's like, she rolls out onto stage in a wheelchair. Just like,
oh no. I think that Navia is gonna be the standard 5-star.
The Geo, yeah, because they're missing one, right? They need one for the thing, yeah. Just doing Geo dirty again, like stop, it's already dead. Like,
and did you see they revealed her weapon type sneakily? I don't know if you saw it in the trailer. We saw her weapon type.
What was it, Claymore?
She's holding the white blind.
That's disgusting.
It is. Why another Like, seriously, we already have Ito and Noelle. Why do we need another Claymore?
Like, why couldn't they do like I don't know, like a sword or something like that? Like Albedo's place, like Albedo has a sword, or another catalyst. Make a 5-star Geo catalyst user. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, anything. Like any other one. She could have been like, well, hopefully not Bo. Hopefully, like Bo, at least if it's not charged. You could do something like Yelan, where she's Bo, but she's not really Bo. That's what I like.
Geo's so dead right now. Like, unless she's like a Nilu type unit for Geo, like she enables insane crystallized reactions. Otherwise, Geo is completely doomed.
That's the most scared I am, because I they definitely don't have the balls to do something like that and put her on standard. But I really think she's going to go on standard. So it's like either she's standard, but I feel like either she's standard or she's just like an Edo side grade, or she's like a Nilo type. But I feel like that's the least likely option.
Yeah, like if she's going the standard banner, I mean, it's not like standard banner characters are completely terrible because you
That's
still
true.
have what's that the bow guy, the ranger.
I mean, Kaching and Tainari, I think, are really good standard characters. They're really good nowadays.
Yeah, so fingers crossed. But yeah, Geo is doomed. I don't ever want to see Geo again. That thing is, I think Hoyoverse has completely forgotten that element even exists in the game.
It's really weird because I'm looking at my list of characters and I'm like, we haven't got a Geo character since Yunjin, and Yunjin came out like a year and a half ago. Is that right? Like that is wild, bro.
Yeah.
Either that they've got to be cooking. They've got to be cooking something.
that's more copium. That's more copium than me saying Jing Yuan is not that far from Kafka.
Do you think are there any elements that are or concepts that are looking forgotten in Star Rail, or is everything like pretty fleshed out off the gate?
Actually, yes. If we're talking about Star Rail, like they're doing a really good job with not only combat diversity, but just general character design and means of combat. Because the thing with Star Rail is the game can get I mean, it's already gotten kind of stale for most people. It's just repetitive grinding. Is that they need to have different ways to deal damage. Honestly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, the difference between Kafka and Jing Yuan is her damage is more like front loaded. The color of the damage is the same. It's just a mommy versus a daddy.
Yeah.
Like honestly, that's how it feels like. And I think they're gonna run into a problem in Star Rail sooner than Genshin, because Star Rail's combat system is not dynamic like Genshin's. It's static.
Yeah, and I feel like even for a turn-based game, it's very static. Like I feel like I'm not making very many decisions in when I play. Like I feel like I'm just clicking the same button. Like even most characters, it's like you're not even choosing between all their attacks. You're just kind of mashing.
But y'all are still clicking buttons in this game. I press one button at the start of fight. That's it. If I can't auto like MOC 10, I'm not playing that shit. Like my goal in this game is just a full auto MOC 10. Like max stars MOC the whole way through. I'm not clicking anything.
I know every time I see an M-cached clip of him playing a Star Rail, he's not playing. He's just watching auto battle.
Yeah, like honestly, like I made a video talking about this, right? And people were refuting it. It's like, no, that's why we like this game, because you can auto it. But that's just because they still have the novelty feeling of the game. They're still so early. Let's try you playing this game 3 years from now, and you auto for 3 years straight. Let's see how much you'll still enjoy playing this game, right?
Yeah, because I was anticipating really enjoying it because I come from Pokemon, so I play Pokemon competitively, and it's a turn-based game. And and in Pokemon you have, like, when you play official competitive, it's a 2v2, and then you can also switch out to your other Pokemon. So each Pokemon has 4 moves, and then you have 2 targets, and then you can switch to 3 different Pokemon each. So the total moves is like, there's totally like 60 or 100 plus things that you can do on any given turn, and if you really multiply all your options, there's like 200 different options. But it seems like Star Rail, because each character has a specified turn order and very few things you do can really change the turn order, and if they do, it's done automatically. It makes the dynamic very stale. Like I feel like personally, I was anticipating really enjoying it, and I was even considering making a second channel for it, but I just felt like I just was going to get tired of the game really, really quickly because of how repetitive each battle is.
They're suffering. People used to blame Genshin's game design for like catering to mobile players, but it's not about catering to the mobile players. And in hindsight, this has become more clear. It's that they're not catering so much to the mobile players as they are catering to the casual players. Hoyoverse's main goal for all their games, I see it very clearly now. Like since Genshin, they've made it very clear, like they want their game to appeal to the largest possible audience. They don't care about like satisfying the hardcore players, like the dedicated players, because they've fully grasped the concept that they're gonna whale regardless. These hardcore players are gonna whale regardless. They don't need to give them a reason to spend money. They can
That's
fart
really sad.
and they'll spend money. Like they could do anything. They'll release the most like garbage. Like again, people in chat might think I'm going way too far and way too extreme in saying this, but I'm honestly like just telling you guys that like what I've started to notice, and it's true because like look at. It's like using content creators as a reason. Like they at least have to make content, so like it's they have to spend to make content. That's how you justify that. But I guarantee you guys have no idea. There are players who will spend on anything that breathes. Like if they are drawing breath, these people will drop thousands of dollars. So Hoyoverse has fully understood that. They're like, oh, we don't need to do anything for these players. They'll do it on their own. But the problem, the biggest problem for these games is they'll bleed players away so fast if they don't cater to the casual players, because these players have nothing to lose.
100%.
Yeah, they have literally nothing to lose. They can drop the game in a heartbeat because they've never committed to the game to begin with.
Yeah.
So
I see my wife. Yeah, I see like my wife is the perfect example of a casual player. And that's exactly right. As soon as she is not interested, she's just not playing, and she's not spending, and she's not playing. If the events take too long, she's just done. If the combat is too hard, she's just done.
Exactly.
So I can see her favorite team is Hyperbloom because she can just auto with Nahida behind Zhongli's shield and everything dies, and she's like, "This is the greatest thing in the world."
Yeah, they like the casual players. They're just here for like, okay, this is the thing. Genshin,
the vibes.
Yeah, Genshin
the vibes are unreal.
It's a part of their life, right? Like it's just a piece of their life.
Yeah,
it's like a very small portion. They could live with it. They could live without it. Like it really doesn't matter. It's just like a like.
The crazy thing though, I think, is how they spare absolutely no expense at intricately designing and crafting the look and feel of the game and the characters and like the world. And so you can just hang out in the world. Like you just pull up the game, right? And you just noodle around and you farm around. And it's an enjoyable, like, yes, I know us hardcores are tired of our daily grind, but like, you know, you can just enjoy this scenery. Like especially since I got my new PC, I'm just like doing daily commissions and I'm like, holy crap, this game is gorgeous. Like if I was just doing this once in a while, like of course you'll have to just boot up the game, listen to the music, you know, chill with the characters, like listen to someone read some story about them. Like each character has like this amazing backstory and lore and interaction with other. It's amazing how much work you can instantly feel the quality, and I think that's what retains a lot of people, including myself, that it's just like you can feel they put in, like they feel that it's a living breathing world. Like it's like I don't know if y'all were like me and weirdos that like if you had a favorite book series, like especially Harry Potter, like I reread the crap out of Harry Potter. I read like all those books like 17 times each as a kid because I was essentially just like living in the world of Harry Potter. And I think that's like kind of how Genshin is like you kind of just are able to just live and enjoy the world.
It's escapism. They've built a world where we can disassociate it from our world and just escape into, not just to like escape. Like the word escape maybe it's not like a good word for most people. It's like, oh, you're trying to escape from what? But I'm just saying like it's a different reality kind of almost we can tap into.
It's an experience. Yeah.
And it's like you said, oftentimes I'll just AFK. I've said this, like, I don't know if you were watching me back then, but when Inazuma came out, I said there's that bridge in Inazuma City that I always love go to. There's a sakura tree there, and then there's like water flowing underneath it. I love going there to just like chill sometimes. I'll probably like spend roughly like 5 to 10 hours a week just AFKing there with audio on. I'll be doing something else on my computer, but I'll just listen to the music, like I'll just tune the music down and then have it in the background, and I'll just AFK there, right? So like
my spot for that is in Sumeru. Kind of, I don't know exactly. It's sort of by the Dendro Deepwood domain. Is the music there is just like it instantly puts me into like a state of serene calm, and I could just hang out for a while.
There was an interview that Dawei did. I'm sure you have seen it at this point. It's like very long time ago. It's maybe like almost 10 years ago. Dawei did an interview basically saying like why he's creating the products that he's creating. He's like, we're trying to build these worlds and these characters that our players can fully attach to, right? Like, because oftentimes we go through the world very lonely, especially like Chinese people nowadays. Like, it's very difficult to meet new people. They're super like tied down by their work. So Dawei was basically saying, for people who don't know, Dawei is the CEO of HoYoverse. So he was saying, this was even before Genshin came out. This was like probably 5-6 years before Genshin came out. So he was already saying, like,
right around Honkai Impact release.
Yeah. Around then, I think he was talking about Honkai Impact. And that's what he was saying, like, oh, we're making this product so our player base can really attach these characters and spend time with them and fully invest into them. And he was saying, like, the amount of these people who are lonely in the world, like, there's a huge market potential that nobody else is really capitalizing on. So he's like, so basically he's talking about the business side of this, right? He's like, and I think below it were either investors or people from the press or whatever. And he was like, and like, a lot of people got really like spooked out by that. It's like, oh my God. But to me, that was very reassuring, because like we know where their priorities are. And now we like, if we bring the conversation back to how they're hyper focused on the casuals, right? It makes sense, because they're trying to develop a product to the masses. He was saying, like, there's like hundreds of millions, if not even in like potential billion, like up to 1 billion people in the world that maybe feel lonely. Even if they have a partner, they could feel lonely. Maybe like they don't feel heard. Maybe the partner doesn't necessarily share their similar interests, right? Stuff like that. Maybe they really like anime, but their partner is like not that into anime, stuff like that, right? So it's just,
I think I don't know if this was intentional, but it's also really nice that it's appealing to both men and women, right? So for myself, I love the game and I really get into the combat, and then my wife loves the game and she gets into the teapot and the TCG. She gets into just like planting some stuff in her garden. Of course, she wishes that was a little more fleshed out, but you know, she loves the vibe, and she'll come back whenever. She'll have her stash of primos, and anytime the new husbando comes out that she really wants, she usually gets them and then plays it for a few weeks, and then if there's a cool event, maybe she'll come on and she'll probably try out Fontaine with me, and we'll just play it together and we'll talk about it and we can both get excited about it. I don't know if that was intentional on their part, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's smart. It's really smart.
New companies needs to be taking note, which is a good and bad thing. The good thing is we're going to have more polished games with beautiful worlds that's fleshed out. The bad thing is that they're all going to try to cater to the masses now. And Genshin, another huge thing that they've done is that they've chosen not to take up a lot of your active playing time.
Yeah, which I both like and dislike. Yeah, personally, because I am, well, actually, I recently went full-time content creation, so now I have time for Genshin. But before that, I was working a full-time sales job, really, really busy with 2 kids. There's no way, if Genshin was a PvP game with a little bit of PvP or their leaderboards, I would have seen pay to win, gotcha, and I would have run the other way. I never wouldn't even have given the game a try. And if it took me, you know, an hour or 2 hours a day to max out my account when I was in that state, there's no way I would just feel like it feels unsatisfying for me to be able to play a game but not like give my best at it. So to be able to max out my account and keep up with the hardcores just on 20-30 minutes a day was like really big for me to keep me around for so long. And personally, like, I didn't have a lot of time for endgame. So although of course I wish there was a simulated universe for Genshin and we had alternate options, maybe instead of like, maybe you could get Spiral Abyss rewards from either the Spiral Abyss or a simulated universe that's more fun for casuals, or also a change it up for a hard price. Of course I want, you know, more different types of in-game content, but if there's just more grind and more time that I have to do, I would have it. The fact that I could do everything on a limited schedule made me feel very satisfied with the game.
Yeah.
So I know it's a really hot take for a content creator to say that they like the Spiral Abyss as it is, and it's fine. But you know, I do. But that being said, my other best friend, you know, I see his perspective too. It's like, why am I building up so many characters just to use them in one mode? Feels kind of weird.
Right.
So I get that. I get it. I get it. I just wish there was more options, right? If they just have more they don't need to have a ton more and super hard difficult stuff. Just give us some more like creative fun ways to do end game that casuals will like as well. Maybe make it how the events, the events are, you can choose a lower difficulty or a higher difficulty, and you can choose that, and maybe you can choose that, and then the hardest difficulty gives you extra mora. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
So 5-star artifact here and there. I
but
don't know.
the second they do that, the free to plays, the low spenders, or like the ones who can't do it or don't want to bother with it are gonna complain en masse, and then
That's what I mean. That's maybe something fun, like something kind of, I don't know, something that's a little bit more wacky.
because
I don't know.
on the other spectrum is if you don't involve the characters, then the hardcores who build the characters are gonna be like, then why am I even building these characters? And it's clear Hoyoverse has already made their decision. They've chosen the latter because it goes back to the point being like the hardcore are like, you're gonna build your characters. You don't need us to give you a reason to build your characters. You're gonna build your characters, right? So like we're back to that point where it's like we know right, you're gonna do it. We don't need to give you a reason to do it. You'll do it, right?
That's actually an interesting point,
right? So now it's back to like how are we gonna get the people who don't want to play our game as much to play our game a little bit more? On average, if we can keep them for extra 2-3 minutes, wow, that's big.
I'd be interested to see if anyone's actually still playing the TCG, like even casuals, because at least most of the casuals I know, it's kind of, I think it's too separate. Like it's just too much separated from the world to me. Like people, I think, just forget about it.
Just eventually, like I wouldn't even be surprised eventually they make Genshin Racing. Like it's just like,
oh no,
yeah, you get like a little race track, and it's like Mario Kart but with Genshin characters. Like you got like Diluc with his red little like cart, and then you got Nahida in her little green lantern thing, and then it's just like you guys are laughing, but like it's very possible. Like they'll do it. They'll create a sub gaming category for like all of this, like for everything.
That's funny. Well, they better fix their vehicle mechanic, because I basically hate every vehicle mechanic they have in this game. So
yeah, like who's to say that all the vehicle stuff that they've been like putting in the game isn't just a test mode for eventually actually having a permanent vehicle game mode?
I thought that the fungus event was interesting. I ended up not really enjoying it all that much, but I thought that was an interesing combat experiment.
Is it the fungi event thing that they did?
Yeah, it was Pokemon. It was a Pokemon thing. I really vibed with the story. The story was excellent. They had like a anime battle Pokemon scene. It was so excellent.
I have not touched a casual Genshin event since like the 1-point-something era. Like I'm honest. Yeah. Like I did play it back then. Like not like I think I played all like full on Genshin, everything it had to offer, every single event. I played it for like 4 patches and I was done with it. Because like to a certain point, especially when you start seeing them rerunning old events, like, okay, that's where the innovation is at right now. Like that's the peak of their innovation. Sure. And of course I'm not saying like, I'm not shitting on people who do want to play. I'm saying like it's great because there's a ton of different options. The good thing about Hoyoverse with Genshin is they've given us options, right? Like unlike a lot of other games where it's like you either play it or you don't. And most people would say then I won't play it. But Genshin is like, hey, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. It's a little bit for everybody. Like the Spiral Abyss is,
which I think is good. I honestly think that as hardcore players, I think that as long as you do still actually enjoy the game, if you don't enjoy the game, if you're too salty about the lack of endgame completely, then of course that's totally a fine opinion. That's totally fine to feel that way. But as long as you are still enjoying, I think that there's something to be said for feeling grateful that they do have all these options, because the fact that it does keep all those players around, it does really make the game overall better for everyone. Like the fact that it's a quality game. Like I know we want this quality game with hard combat, but the fact is like you wouldn't be able to have this quality of the game without it really catering to that casual side. And the fact that it is like this is why we get so many high quality characters and content and environments and all the different things. If you don't enjoy that other stuff at all and you just want to play combat, then that is what it is. But there is something to be said about being happy that they do attract the casual players so that it can keep the casual players around.
While them keeping the casual players around, for the most part, I think it's also to bolster the player numbers and to create a community, to have a community, a sense of community at the very least. Like when there's a IRL events, more people shows up, that's free PR.
Sure.
Right? Like, oh, the Genshin
and also
booth.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I was just saying, like, every time you see the Genshin booth, are all like full of people. There's cosplayers constantly posting online. They have these like incentive events, like for content creators to keep posting content. This is very important. And if there's not a strong enough casual community, this kind of community wouldn't be nearly as well developed, because a lot of time we like, even if we don't say it, we're seeking validation. Spending all this time on a cosplay, going to the convention, is because there's going to be other people who spent this similar amount of effort going to the convention, and you can kind of appreciate the work that each other have put into their own crafts. And if there's like less people to appreciate it, then it becomes a very small community, and eventually it just dies out.
There's something about when that Fontaine trailer dropped and it was trending like number 1 on YouTube or whatever it was. I don't know if it was number 1 or number 2. I know that Winter Nights Lazoo trended at number 2, and it was, that's kind of ridiculous for all of YouTube. And I just felt at that moment like the story we're experiencing as a community, no one will ever have this experience again. Like in 10 years, like we went through this experience, and people who come pick up the game later, they will not have the same experience that we did. I know that playing through the entire game and seeing the story, all that is going to be good, but no one will get that experience of new crazy stuff coming out, like the Sub-Zerus Festival, if you enjoyed that Archon Quest, or if you enjoyed, like, this was something that we're all kind of going through together, and we'll be able to look back upon that nostalgically, because it's something that is an experience that doesn't happen very often, like a group community enjoying a story together. Like I'll compare it to Harry Potter again, right? When the 7th Harry Potter, the last Harry Potter book came out, the entire community of Harry Potter was like, wow, look at this thing that we're all experiencing together. And you feel more a part of the world, which is pretty interesting. And definitely something that's valuable.
It's funny that you bring up sense of like togetherness, yet Hoyoverse at every opportunity has tried to segregate the community as much as they can. Like, they want us to feel together, but at the same time they don't want us to be too together. This is when I can put on my tinfoil hat and like wrap it on real tight on my head and be like, it's because it's much more difficult to control the masses when they're like too unified.
What do you mean you don't want them to be too? How are they segregating us? What do you mean?
Like, for example, having different communities of like the Yelan fans versus the Ayaka fans versus the Ganyu fans versus the Hu Tao fans versus the Yoimiya fans, and then making.
Why do you think that's segregating?
It's because you have different waifus and characters that you're really die hard about, right? Like, we're going back. Let's go back to the Kafka and Jingyuan example, right? If you're really being,
it is pretty rude of them. I see what you're saying with that. It's pretty rude of them to release both of those really close together. Like, did we really need another AoE Electro on the DPS right now? That's weird.
It's because they know how much the people, like, I don't even know, it's like the weebs, the weeaboos, I don't know. Like, these type of people, they care a lot about their characters. Like right. I don't know if you saw my Scaramouche video, like, to that degree.
Sure. Yeah.
That degree, right? It's much.
I watch almost every single one of your videos.
Okay, perfect then. Like, I can reference now, because that if we're talking on that kind of scope, like you quickly understand like how important this stuff is to these people. Like, with the example that you were using earlier, I said like, to the casuals, Genshin Honkai is just a part of their life. To the hardcores, Genshin Honkai is their life. This is it.
I can kind of see what you're saying if you compare Ayaka versus Ganyu. Like, they're like both cryo, waifu, DPS that are definitely easily comparable. Zhao versus Wanderer, Yoimiya versus Hu Tao. I can kind of see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, and that's why I say like, when, like, this is the theory is that when the community is so divided, we can never come together to make any sort of like because our egos are too big. We can never.
I can kind of see what you're saying. Like, if a new character comes out and some people are not satisfied with them, we're not all gonna go behind that character and vote for them to be stronger, because some people are happy that they're weak because that makes their favorite character look better by comparison.
Yes. So having this set up in this specific way makes it so that you'll never have enough momentum. And the whole Zhongli situation probably caught them really off guard.
Well, yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, Zhongli, a lot of people consider like a comfort pull as opposed to like a meta pull. So it's kind of interesting that he was even weaker before. I don't even know what that would have been like. He would have been Dea tier.
Yeah. And Anissa here in chat is saying that that the mods in Genshin Discord server are banning people that mentions anniversary. So that just again,
really,
that's again just proves my point. Like, they really don't want people to like gather behind a singular force.
I could agree. I can see where you're coming from on that. That's all. It's a really bad look if everyone comes together. Against them, it's a really bad look for them, and they don't. It's like some content creators have said, you can't let people see you bleed.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they see you bleed, your cat. As soon as they see you bleed, then they come, like the sharks in the water, right? They come and we're gonna start getting what we want, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to being drip fed what we want.
Hoyoverse never wants to negotiate with players, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole like American thing, like we don't negotiate with I don't even know if you say that.
My bad.
The T word. But then like, and Genshin, like most game developers, like we will never want to be in a situation where we have to negotiate with our players. There's a reason why there's no players union.
Well, we almost got there with Dea, right? They actually released that survey specifically for Dea. We were so close.
Yeah, but you see, that survey, releasing that survey was enough for a lot of people to shut up, and because we're like, oh my god, there's hope, and then we stop, momentum stops, that's it, it's dead. They killed it with just the survey. Like, they only needed to give us hope, and that was enough, because then enough people would falter, right? Enough people would be like, okay, like they're giving this the time of day, right? They're putting attention to this, we've done enough. And then once you lose that number of players,
big bait and switch.
Yeah, and then that's it. You'll never ever gain enough traction again to start this thing up.
Yeah.
So it's over. Hoyoverse, like a lot of people want to believe Hoyoverse is stupid. They really do. Like earlier we were saying the CLA Jing Yuan thing, people were saying like, nah, they didn't know. They don't know. They had no idea. It's like, how can they have no idea? Like it's inconceivable to me.
It's like they didn't know that Fischl was going to become busted with Dendro. It's like, bro, they released Fischl right before Dendro as a free unit in the event. Like, they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that people can still think that, like, they think like these are the same people that think Genshin's success was mostly just like all attributed to luck, and Hoyoverse did nothing. They just struck gold because they got lucky. Right? It's just like, if you want to believe that everything just happens due to like uncontrollable factors, then it's going to be very difficult to have this conversation. And of course, I respect people's opinions on the matter, but
there's no way to know absolutely for sure why it was successful, right?
I don't think they could have predicted how successful, but I think they definitely try to shoot for something that has never been done before.
They did. It's a very, very ambitious project.
And they built it on top of something that's wildly successful, which is Breath of the Wild, right? Like,
they combined what they knew from Honkai and then what someone else did well. And so they just sort of meshed two things together, and they did it really well, and they executed it well, and then they happened to release it at the right time. But I think that the fact that there's still so many players coming in, like, this is interesting, Walruss. Like, I thought, I didn't start my channel very long ago. I started it 6 months ago. So I thought that I would come in and I would have to, like, somehow entertain the old players, because I figured people watching content are kind of like, you know, they've been around the block, and now they're the people that are hanging around. But I was wrong. Most of my community is pretty new players, like, to the point where now I'm making like basic do's and don'ts for Genshin Impact and this week 1 stuff, and it's doing well because there's so many new players always coming in.
Like, this is crazy that whenever I mention this stat to people, is that like, I think the number of people that are quitting is less than the number of people that's joining. And I truly believe this stat. And it's just so that people, like, the community is so mature. Like the people that you see at the top, like Ziox and like these like used to be Tectone, right? MTash, these people.
Yeah.
Like this is the type of community that most people have eventually just gravitated to, and then they just situate themselves, and then they enclose themselves in those communities, never ever looking out ever again, because they're comfortable there. Why should we like still move around? Like we got everything we can possibly need, and then they don't see how many new people are constantly joining in, and because like once you shut the door, it just feels like, oh, my friends are leaving. Oh, like this group that I used to talk with, they're slowly leaving, but because they're not introducing themselves to new environments, new communities.
Yeah, it's not like it's an MMO where you see new people join the server and stuff like that.
All they see are people leaving, friends leaving, so they come to the conclusion, oh, the game's dying, right? Everybody's leaving, right? And if you cross-reference like views on channels, like, oh my god, everybody's losing views. But I also talked about this as well. It's like most people who were watching these videos were watching for educational purpose to begin with. The vast majority of people who are stopping to watch, which attributes to the views dropping, which is also inaccurate to the to the whole state of the game, are those people who are like, okay, I've learned enough, I know everything I could possibly need to know about the game, right? Or I'm subscribed to like some sort of theory crafting like Discord community where I can just directly get my info from there. I don't ever need to wait for Ziox to drop a video or Sebi to drop a video. I'm completely self-sufficient. I'm smart enough to figure this out on my own, right? And that's where a lot of the views are starting to bleed away. The newer players who are coming in probably can watch one or two videos, but the thing is, the new players are not as dedicated as some of the older players. A lot of the newer players coming in now are the casual players. Now, sure, once in a while, a big Giga whale is gonna wobble in here and be like, let me drop 10k and see what this game's about, and then they dip. But like those are far and few between. There's a vast like I would even say like 80-90% of the players that are coming in by watching these ads that Hoyoverse runs are casual players. They're not going to spend that much money. They'll probably watch one or two videos on like the character that they've gotten. Let's say they come into the game, they got like Linny. They got Linny. Oh my god, let me see what Linny is about. They watch a Linny guide, they play a little bit, and then they might quit in like before they even get a second limited 5-star character. Or they might save for 3 months and then they'll watch another guide 3 months later. That's why the views, like this is the thing, a lot of people have been messaging me saying like, Walrus, like is like from a content creator perspective, like do you think Genshin's dying? Like viewership is down across the board, like everybody's struggling. Like I'm like, no, it's because a lot of the older players, they just don't need this content anymore.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. Like, I don't know. I've got really obviously biased perspective because I just started content creation, and during the slowest patches, my channel has like it's doubling every month. Like it's sort of exploding. Like it's doing well. Not like and just like compared to other channels that are maybe dwindling, mine is doubling in views or more every month and every couple weeks. And so I don't say that as a brag, just like that's just what's happening. So there's obviously people that are still interested in the content. I don't know why. I mean, I think like certain channels, like they've also moved on to Star Rail, and the way that now we're getting into like YouTube stuff, but like the way that YouTube works is that like once you start catering to a new audience, if that audience isn't into the other stuff, like at least my theory is a lot of the well-established channels, their audience is well-established, like you said as well. They've been playing for a while, and then when that creator kind of gets tired and moves on to Honkai, their fan base that's also kind of tired of the game moves over to Honkai as well. And coming back to Genshin, those people are kind of still tired of Genshin, and because the algorithm has been pushing, again, we're YouTube weeds, but the algorithm has been pushing Star Rail content to Star Rail viewing people. Those channels aren't seeing the new players that are interested in Genshin aren't seeing the Genshin content. Like even for yourself, Walrus, like you've been kind of going back and forth. Your content is being pushed out to Star Rail viewers. When you make a Genshin video, it's pushed out to those Star Rail viewers. They might not be interested. Whereas I'm only doing Genshin, so they're all going out to Genshin people. So I think that's also contributing to a downward viewership. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's there's so many variables too, right? Like each person is different, each community is different. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's like there are certain content creators, like probably not going to name names, but they've basically completely dropped Genshin and moved on to Star Rail because they just found more success. And
Yeah.
like this is a concept when it comes to content creation. The becoming an authority in this in a specific game is very important if you want to be like
Yeah.
the top dog, and being the first one to capture an audience oftentimes is enough to guarantee your success.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to mention the name of the content creators, but this individual has found like immense success in the Honkai Star Rail field, and they've since decided not to come back. I haven't spoken with them, but their uploads suggest that they're going to become
Sure.
dedicated to Honkai, and it's much more beneficial to a channel if you just focus on one game, one title, and just go hard. Just go hard on that and don't look back. And I think that I've yet to find that title. I'll be honest. I enjoy talking about Genshin, talking about Honkai, mostly because I share a common interest with the viewers of my channel. That's just it. I enjoy talking to them more than I enjoy playing the game. I don't know. It's a weird thing to even say. Like, I played the game enough to the point where I can now talk about the game, and that's what satisfies my content creation journey.
I hear that. I hear that from multiple content creators actually, Walrus, that they enjoy talking about the game more than actually playing the game.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I became a content creator. I'll be honest, is because even after playing for 2 years, I still like super love the game. Like maybe I'm just a whack job and my brain isn't screwed on right, but I really love the game, and I figured that would kind of give me an advantage because I like the game a lot.
It does. It definitely does, because you can tell from your content that, and compared to other people's content. Again, not to drop names. Using myself as an example, I've gotten very comfortable at creating like relatively copy paste videos because it's a format I'm used to. I'm comfortable with it. Again, like it maybe differs for people to people. Like if income is a big focus for somebody, they might need to continuously innovate to make sure they stay ahead. But if income isn't a big problem, then and you're just doing this for the sake of doing it, then you kind of fall back into something that's comfortable for you. Whatever is easy and comfortable, that's what you're going to naturally gravitate to. Like another very formulaic content. An example would be guide content, right? How are you gonna intro your video? You're gonna like showcase like do a quick DPS showcase in the Abyss, and then go into quick introduction, skill overview, constellations, weapons, artifacts, teams, and then conclusion. Right? It's like once you get comfortable with the format, you're just gonna stick with that. Your brand is
especially if you're like an established creator and people just watch you for they just watch you no matter what. They don't even double check what you're saying. Not that most of the big content creators that are still going and making guides, their videos are really good. Like there's nothing really wrong with their information, but they don't have to like you said, they don't have to innovate or do anything like that because they know they just get instant 100K views and that's it.
But the thing also is, how long can they keep? Because that essentially becomes a desk job.
That's exactly right.
Like it gets to a certain point where the passion slowly burns away, and then it just becomes okay. I have to upload the Linny guide at this specific time. I can't even like I can't delay it for a day. I can't take a break from it. Like this time, I have to do it in this time frame, or else I'm fucked. Right? Like it's just
and I think some of that's always gonna happen. Like you're always gonna, no matter what job or anything you have, there's gonna be some degree of that. But if that's every single video, every single time, that's gonna be you're really gonna start hating life. That's not fun.
A lot of content creators have already like dipped because of that. I've like in my time I've already seen like 3 close ones that I've actually talked to just leave because like, oh, I'm not doing this. I quit my desk job to do this, so I don't have to deal with that. And right, like, so it's like it's a tricky thing.
Well, we'll see where I end up, right? Because I'll be an interesting test case because I came in enjoying the game, loving the game, basically essentially quit my desk job to do it. So we'll see. I'm exactly that person. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. My solution, I'm currently looking for a second game for a second channel. My plan personally is to have 3 channels going because I think that I can do that easily. I don't want to do daily uploads for one game. That's what I'm doing right now. I would like to do 2 videos a week for 3 games. And then that will kind of keep the spice of life all on separate channels. That's my current plan. But similar to what you said, Walrus, is I've been struggling finding a second and or not even think about a third game. I've been struggling to find a second game to do
content
that I could enjoy as much as this. And I feel like as content creators, I feel like we're super entitled because I think that Genshin is probably the best game to make content on YouTube for, between the constant updates and very dedicated, emotionally invested player base. Like
yeah, Genshin is definitely up there. The biggest thing with making content for games nowadays is like nobody seems to have any sort of loyalty towards any game or any title. Players are jumping from game to game like it's like freaking hopscotch. like the floor is lava type deal. It's just like, oh, can't stay here for too long or can't even touch it for that. It's just
right.
I think it's also why Genshin has, like Hoyoverse, I mean, has decided to share the player base. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's like
I do. I watched that video.
Yeah, they've decided to make a game that you can only you play for 10 minutes and that's it. And then so you can go play another game because they've decided we're not going to fight over the player base. We're going to make it so that our game is so easy to upkeep that like they can play 3, 4, 5 other games and they can still play our game. And this has opened doors to future content, like future titles. It's like if they don't respect this unspoken rule in the industry now, to respect the player's time. I think this is a newish term. I don't know, like I haven't really
I just wish that and hopefully they're trending towards this. I just hope that they make the time that they do engage you for a little bit more enjoyable. Like the daily commissions are just really annoying. Like why is that the thing that I have to do over and over again? Like I enjoy the exploration, but like I don't even get to exploration because I have to do my daily commissions first. So like why, if I'm busy, right? So like why is that the thing that's the most important? I hope they did say, I don't know if you saw that, Walrus, they said that they're reworking daily commissions to make them, to give players more choice. That's what they said in that developer's notes.
Is more choice the answer though? Because
I do find the Star Rail commissions are pretty good, don't you think? You can like that's a pretty decent middle ground. It's not great, but it's a decent middle ground.
It is in comparison to Genshin, I'll say that, but I'll be honest, I've stopped doing the Star Rail commissions as well, and I'll tell you why. The reason I used to do it so much is because I had a goal I needed to get to. I had to get to Trailblaze level 60. That was the goal, and I never missed a day of commissions. The second I got to Trailblaze level 60, I stopped. It didn't matter anymore. I'm there. I'm now, the only thing that I do, I say like, is grind relics. That's all I do. I'm hyper focused on relic grinding. I need to kit out all my characters. That's the next step, right? So it's like,
and then once they're done that, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, once I'm done that, then I have to go level them up, and then it's MOC. Then I probably won't touch the game until MOC refreshes. That's it.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna I'm gonna AFK MOC. Remember, I said my goal is full AFK MOC 10. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Right, like, and if I'm working towards that goal, and I need top tier relics for that. Without top tier relics, it's impossible. So that's why I'm super. You see, like, I don't know if other players are like myself or I'm just like an oddball, but like I'm hyper focused in what I want in the game. I have a goal, and I'll work towards that goal. And anything that doesn't kind of align with getting to that point, of course you can say like, but if you do your daily commissions in Star Rail, you get like relic exps and stuff like that, right? Which is why I don't go out of my way to complete it all, but I'll usually get 2 or 3 done because it kind of lines up with what I'm doing today. Anyways,
actually well, I relate to that. I have a goal in Genshin as well, and that's probably why I'm still excited, is because I'm still working towards that goal.
What is the goal?
It's to build and test every single character so that I can compare each and every single one and make a tier list based on my own experience of every single character.
I used to do that actually, like
I know,
because I refuse to crown my characters. Till this day, I have not crowned a single Genshin unit because there's not enough crowns for me to crown every single one of them, because that includes the 4 stars as well, right? Like, so it's like, so I leave them all to 8 is the talents I usually have when I finish my characters. So, and then I used to evaluate them like that. And like, the reason I stopped doing that was because I realized not all characters are made with equal heart on HoYoVerse's part. Sure. Some characters
Yoimiya makes me legitimately depressed.
Some characters, man, like, it's just not fair. It's straight up just not fair. Like, they lost, like in Chinese we have a saying, it's like losing at the starting line. Like, you already lost the race, like when you like got onto that racetrack. It's just, it wasn't fair. And I stopped doing it because I was like, okay, yeah, then what's the point, right? It's like and of course, and Archons is different. Like, that's how I arrived at the 3 different tiers of characters. Characters to have a fair evaluation have to have different investments.
The only character I disagreed in my when I heard you say that list is Nilou. I think Nilou starts at tier 0, and then she goes to like higher than that with her weapon. I think she's ridiculous. But anyways,
yeah, Nilou's pretty busted. Yeah, so it's like, I at this point I'm not really struggling to make content for Genshin, but I really struggle to like hardcore commit to the game.
Yeah, just have that passion. Yeah, for the game.
It's like,
so what do you think about the future games? Like, we've got Wuthering Waves coming up. We've got well, obviously Zenless Zone Zero in a little bit. Is there anything else?
No, I think those are the nearest 2 titles. Like, Blue Protocol at this point is done. Like, it's dead.
You think so, eh?
Because Blue Protocol is already released in Japan, and I said developers who don't respect doing global releases in the future are not going to find success.
Oh, right. There's that stuff about the boob slider or the boob jiggler.
Oh, is there?
And they nerfed an entire body type too, right?
Oh,
did you hear about that or no?
No.
Oh, so Amazon just took away the entire... Okay, so they're so obsessed with censoring that they took away the boob jiggle button on character creation, but way worse than that, they took away the small female size model. So you can't even play that entire model size. So like kind of the Hu Tao body type. They just gone from the game. You can only pick the bigger ones.
Yeah, game's dead.
Yeah,
it just shows they're very detached.
Totally completely out of touch.
They're out of touch with the player base. It's done. They
spend too much time on Twitter.
Yeah, like the West, again, not to get too political, but like the West, especially the big corporations, the mega corporations in the West, are trying to cater so much for like diversity, both racial and of course the gender diversity stuff. It's gotten to the point where it's very difficult to enjoy something without having that aspect of their political thing shoved in our faces.
I just had a Gigantamax brain thought. Elon Musk is tanking Twitter so that it becomes an irrelevant platform for the good of the world, so that we can all enjoy things not being canceled on Twitter.
that might, like, because it's Elon, I think there's a legitimate there's legitimacy to that because it's Elon. Anyone else, I wouldn't believe it. Like, everything he's done since he purchased Twitter has been a very questionable decision.
I know, especially the X. It's so funny. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm so happy I don't have to make a Twitter to be relevant. I'm so happy.
Is it like when you make a tweet now, is it called an X tweet?
I don't know. I don't understand why. It makes no sense. I'm not gonna X somebody. I'm not gonna X. Oh, I gotta X this. That doesn't even. It takes longer to say than tweet. Oh.
But yeah, this is.
But what do you think? Okay, so Wuthering Waves and
Zenless Zone Zero. I think Wuthering Waves is probably gonna have the bigger hype than Zenless Zone Zero. HoYoVerse,
so, eh?
HoYoVerse has made too, and if Kuro Games is smart, which I think they are, is they have to snag up the players that left Genshin and Honkai. They have to. At this point, they're like the only company that even has a ghost of a chance to even
That's true.
compete in this space. Is like the hardcore players who want combat, who wants like more end game, who wants more like things to do in the game, who are leaving Genshin. If Kuro Games snags them up, they might actually cultivate. But then again, those might also be like the more toxic players, you know, like the ones who are so like die hard. Because think about it, the ones who are patient are still playing Genshin. The ones who are kind of keep to themselves, don't like do crazy stuff, they're still playing Genshin just quietly and enjoying it, right? Which ends up with like a more like a slightly less toxic environment. The people who would come in and be like, dead game, trash, just quit.
Those people are those people are crazy, man.
Yeah, those people all quit, and then they'll go to Wuthering Waves, and those people will make up Wuthering Waves
community.
Yeah.
My only issue with Wuthering Waves is like the polish isn't quite on the same level, except for like that one character with the dragon arm. He looks like a mix of Al-Hytham and Dan Inhibitor, whatever.
Yeah, the dragon dude, right? With the
that guy looks sick as hell. Everybody else looks sort of mid to me. I don't know, and I'm not a husbando player, so
yeah.
If there's not a good waifu for me to latch onto, it's gonna be tough to convince me, and I feel like there's a lot of people like that.
And like for example, Wuthering Waves isn't a game that you can play with your wife. Judging from what you said, like she likes to do, like that game looks like you need to learn like maybe
100%
combos and stuff.
She's not interested in Honkai because she can't run around and pick stuff. She's not interested in Wuthering Waves because it looks too intense and like dreary, and she's not interested in Zone Zero again because there's no open world. So there is a huge. None of these games are gonna. I judge a game on if it's going to be big based on what my wife is interested in. If she's interested in it, the game has potential. If she's not, it's going to be more of a niche game. That's not to say that it won't be great and it won't be fun and it won't be, even a good contender for us to cover as new content. It might still be, but it won't be mega the way that Genshin is.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think it's not smart for new developers or like even experienced developers to try to do what Genshin has done.
No,
it's a lot of Genshin success is because of the time that the game was released in. Like that, like even though earlier
it gave them such a springboard to such an influx of cash. Like think about how huge they made the future regions because of the money they made from that. Just gives them such a high advantage over someone else coming in.
Like the developers nowadays can't even go for this, and I think to a certain degree, where a lot of the players are so invested in the Genshin's world that it's like telling, like, imagine when you were super into Harry Potter, somebody comes and be like, hey man, like drop Harry Potter for now, or like read this book, like it's just as good. Like even if it was just as good, if even better, you would have a difficult time leaving that world, right? Like you were so invested in that world and the fantasy world of Harry Potter that you cannot detach from it just to go, even if you have to share it.
It took a long time. It took a long time to actually drop Harry Potter and just read other books. It took a couple of years probably.
Yeah.
And then to really get into another series or two.
And you first had to stop that series. If you were still as like hardcore and dedicated, you could stay in there for like a much longer time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why newer games cannot do what Genshin is doing, because the people who are dedicated to Genshin, those are non-shareable player bases. Like you cannot share that with other people because they're unwilling to invest that level of emotional input into another title. So right now, the only chance they have is to snag up the players that don't want to play titles like Genshin and Honkai, and those players are ones who want more combat, more fighting, more like things to do.
Yeah. Okay, actually I found my waifu character.
Oh.
it's Baileyan. She's got like this white dragon thing. She's got green hair. She could work.
Wuthering Waves by Lian. Let's see.
Bailian.
Oh, she got like she got that She got that greenish. Is
She's
that
got
a
a
green?
puppy. Yeah, she's got green hair and she's got a Pokemon.
Oh, I see. I mean, she isn't my waifu type, but I see it. I'll be honest. The waifus of Wuthering Waves ain't too
They're not
good
they're
yet.
not ideal.
Yeah, they're
There's not
not that good
My
yet.
only hope is that they've only showed us like the standard banner waifus, and then there's a new limited wife. Like, because to me, they all look like standard characters except for what's his name?
The dragon dude, right? The one with the
Jian. Jian.
Jian. Let's see. Yeah, that's the dragon dude. The Zhao,
Yeah.
the looking. Yeah, that dude is kind of crazy with it.
Zhao plus I'll hype him. I know he just seems so much more dripped out than everyone else in this game. Like he is a Genshin character.
Wuthering Wave husbandos are literally like on a different level than their waifus. I'm kind of sad about that. Like I honestly am. Like,
They surely they make some good waifus. There's plenty of good artists.
Like Genshin has done waifus so well, but Genshin even nowadays have chosen to focus more on husbandos, which is fine.
Not for Fontaine.
I know.
We're gonna be eating good.
They're bringing it back, but like Wuthering Wave, the biggest gripe I have with the game is this: like they're not really good with the waifus.
Yeah, the waifus suck. I'm not gonna lie; they're pretty mid.
Like I don't know if at this point it's called a fetish or whatever the fuck this is. Like I really like it when there's strong female characters that can like actually like destroy enemies, like the cool combos, flashy attacks.
Yeah,
like I find it so much more cool if like a female character is doing it as opposed to a male character.
Yeah, same.
I'm so sick of seeing it. Like if they just took the spear character Jian and made it female, I would like. I would be smacking my credit card on the table until like it shatters into a million pieces.
If in Bibiter Lumain, whatever his name is, with the dragon, oh my god! If that was a girl, like damn.
Yeah, and that's why characters like Kafka is so damn popular. People are going so crazy.
Don't talk about Kafka to me. Don't. Because I just lost my. I got E1. I have E1. Whatever. Jing. I can't remember. I can't.
Jing Yuan. Oh no! It's the Ice Boy.
Yeah.
Let me see.
E1 Walrus. He's my only standard character.
I don't have a single one.
I have him in Welt Walrus.
I don't have him in Welt. That's the only two standard banners I don't. It's Yanqing.
Yeah, Yanqing. Oh my god, he's such a dweeb.
It's so tragic. Like this. I mean,
E1, and then I got Clara's Light Cone.
Oh, my Honkai Star Rail luck is just insane. It's actually wild. I got E1 Clara.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have Zila with her Light Cone.
Oh, that's a good move that you made.
Yeah, I have Zila with her Light Cone, and then I have Silver Wolf. So,
that's another good move. You got the two best units in the game.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm saving for. I guess I'm probably gonna wish on Kafka with my. I bought a bunch of Welkin Moons. I'm still collecting that. I don't play any dailies. I don't farm any artifact. I don't use any resin. I log in. I collect my Welkin Moon. And I leave, and I wait for Kafka, and I guess I'll go for Fushuan to complete the Triforce.
Fushuan, yeah, Fushuan. I mean, at this point, you might just skip Kafka and go for E1 Fushuan.
It's probably smarter.
Yeah.
But Kafka's trailer.
Fushuan is still a badass.
She is, but she's too short.
When she
not short, but she's too small.
When she first came out though, like in the story, and she literally like was like she was like she put her hand on what was it, like Kafka's bullets or something like that, and she literally moved it. I was like, what the fuck? She just came in like casually moving like light beams out of the way or something. Like, oh my goodness! And she came down, dropped in like it was none of. Like no one's business, and she just kind of took control. I was like, God damn! And it's like,
I don't know if you've seen. Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen her leaks for her alt?
Yeah, I've seen the
Like
yeah, I've seen the
that
video.
is a wow. That's a wow.
Yeah.
That's probably the coolest animation in the game so far.
Yeah, I wish I was the orb that she crushed. What? Um yeah, short queen. I mean, I think in my opinion, I think Fushuan is cooler than Kafka. I don't know. Even though
Really?
we haven't even it's
Wow,
like
that's a hot take.
her first impression is too damn good for me. I was
Right.
going through the story. I remember it
It's
was
true.
like 2 a.m. in the morning. I was still playing through the story, and then when she first appeared, I was like, "Holy shit! If this is not a playable character, I quit the game." And turns out she is. I
Yeah.
do really want to pull her, but I also don't want to spend more money on Honkai Star Rail. That's
Yeah, you've spent a little bit, eh? You spent
a little, just a little.
I
Just
remember hearing how much you spent. I was blown away. I was shocked.
just a
I was
tiny,
shocked.
tiny little investment of maybe. Where's my girlfriend? She's not here, right? Wait, she might be watching. Oh no, her laptop's here, so she's not watching. Just maybe a cool
Oh,
4 digits.
that's so much, dude. I spent like I don't know, like $200 because I thought I was gonna cover the game. I thought I was gonna cover the game. I thought I was gonna make my second channel with that. So I wanted to get Zila, and I don't know why I went for a light cone. I just was simping too hard, and I got her light cone. I thought, you know what it was? It's the fact that the Hoyoverse is so smart for this. It's the fact that it was a 75% chance to get it instead of a 35. Like, there's no way if it was like, I swear that's why.
Like that's the thing, right? They're constantly like I keep talking about this in my videos. Like they're constantly testing the limits with a bunch of different things. Like with Honkai Star Rail, they're taking a huge risk by adjusting the rates and making it easier to get, but most people don't understand like the fact that they adjusted the rates are going to incentivize even more people to even give it a try.
Well, so and also that not only that, but now they're more justified, or might be able to get away with more of making the character reliant on their weapon. Like they're sort of backed themselves into a corner with Genshin that they can't really make a character super reliant on their weapon, or there's probably going to be a lot of backlash, and it's just not what people are used to. But with Honkai Star Rail, they can kind of like justify. Oh, it's pretty easy to get a weapon. Like
Yeah, and like god damn it, it's just Hoyoverse W after Hoyoverse W. Like
yeah,
they're masters at monetization. Like they're so good
yeah.
at coming up with reasons for people to spend. I didn't even
It's
know.
especially crazy because you don't need to spend money to beat the content. Like
Yeah, it's a
and
single player game.
all the content is free. You can go to every region and fight all the enemies and do everything without paying a penny. And you can get all the good characters for easily as free to play. Like there's not that many really good characters. Like if you pick the top five, we don't have to argue about which are the top five stars, but if you get the top 5 5 stars, you don't need to get any more characters. Maybe you get constellations for 1 or 2, you're done. You can do that all free to play. Like Mtashed is living proof.
Yeah, like if you just gotten Seele and Silverwolf, you're chilling. Like
Yeah.
like you don't even really need like Seele doesn't need her Lycone. It's good, but Seele has really good free to play options. Silverwolf has really good free to play options.
I'm hoping, and I heard that her weapon makes her way better, and so I'm gonna hold on to that because
I
I
mean,
have her
okay,
weapon, and
her
I'm gonna be the toxic person that says to everyone else, "Your Zila sucks because she doesn't have her weapon." And just for anyone who's not hip, I'm memeing, but
but
I can see, but my mind goes there, right? That's the thing is, I recognize my mind goes there, but my mind goes there, so if I had too many of my brain cells stolen by Twitter, then I would be saying stuff like that.
oh my god, the good thing about Honkai Star Rail is that like honestly I think even though there's less casual content in this game, it's more casual friendly than Genshin. Yeah. And it has
Well,
like a what's that called, like a steeper, no not steeper, learning curve. The learning curve is not as steep is what I'm basically trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I think that if Genshin is any indication, probably the Memory of Chaos is pretty easy right now, and it probably won't get hard until like 2.7 or 3.0 or something like that. And then have to start min maxing. Is my guess, because no one has like perfected builds, right? But by the time that 2.0, 3.0 comes out for Star Rail, then you're gonna have to have min maxed builds to clear free to play.
Yeah, and Jing Yuan's gonna get buffed for sure by then. Yeah, they're gonna make
For sure,
they're gonna make a
surely.
Lightning Lord's move order separate from Jing Yuan's, and if Jing Yuan gets CC'd, it doesn't
Surely.
affect the Lightning Lord. That's gonna be
Surely.
good. Yep, it's gonna be a
This
little
guy's
easier
starting
to
to sound like
stack.
the Yoimiya of Honkai Star
Yeah,
Rail. I'm
it's
not gonna lie.
gonna get way easier to stack his stack Lightning Lord stacks. And yeah, life's just gonna be good by then for Jing Yuan. I know it.
Here's the thing that annoys me the most about Yoimiya is that they didn't even like throw her a bone and give her good constellations or weapon. Like Hu Tao starts off better and then gets 50% better from her C1R1, and Yoimiya gets like 10% from her weapon and like 3% from her C1. It's like it's the
Yoimiya
saddest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yoimiya needs C6 to even compete with Hu Tao C1.
Isn't that crazy? And to be fair, Hu Tao doesn't really get very much from the rest of her constellations.
Yeah, but that's
So,
C1
like,
is
a
all she
C6
needs.
Yeah, so a C6 Hu Tao versus a C6 Yoimiya are comparable, but a C1 Hu Tao is also comparable. That's the saddest thing in the world.
Yeah, like anybody who's gotten more than a C1 Hu Tao is just like got like starting to paint a clown makeup on their face.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
Yoimiya, if you don't get to C6, you're really like you feel like a clown whenever the conversation about Hu Tao vs Yoimiya comes up.
Yeah.
But and the worst part is even if you have C6, you feel like an even bigger clown.
You spent $2,000 or
Yeah.
6,000 or whatever.
So
it
it's
is,
like there's no winning that debate or
there's
conversation.
no winning.
So
It's probably the pokiest thorn in my side of all of Genshin. Not even the end game. It's Yoimiya. It's how they did Yoimiya.
but honestly, C6 Yoimiya, I would say, like in an ideal situation, is better than a C1 Hu Tao. Of course she is though, like C6, come on.
Sure.
But like
Sure, but the problem is that I'm not going to get C6. There's no way I'm doing that. There's no way I'm doing that.
well, you say that now.
Yeah.
Imagine,
Well,
like-
okay. Here's something. I'm really struggling with this, Walrus. I have committed to building and testing every single character. The implication is that I'm testing all the 5 stars at C0. I haven't actually stated that, but currently all my 5 stars are C0, except for so I don't have Zhongli yet. I'll be getting him. I don't have Zhao. I don't have Child. I don't have Ito. I don't have Albedo, and that's all. I have everyone else, and the really large majority of them are all built, and like they don't have all their own artifacts, but they're all talents and stuff and levels. But I have C1 Yelan, but I don't use the C1 for when I'm doing combat testing, just for overworld. And then I really want C2 Raiden. Because Raiden is I'm okay, just let me finish. I'm a massive Raiden simp. I wish for Engulfing Lightning just because, like, just saving up, Welkin and Battle Pass just because of the drip. I just thought that the catch looked so ugly on her, so I saved up for Engulfing Lightning just for the drip, knowing that I wanted to keep C0 so I could still test her, but I want her C2 so damn bad, and it's killing me.
Okay, if it makes you feel any better, honestly, Raiden C2 doesn't really matter anymore. Like honestly, it doesn't really matter that much anymore.
Okay, but here's the thing. My Raiden is like 240 crit value with tons of ER. Like, is a cracked Raiden. Like, my Raiden on damage is not as good as Hyper Bloom, but it is in the same ballpark.
You see, this is the thing though. Like, even nowadays, like, she's good, don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of people who still uses her, but like, really, it's a choice of who you want to use nowadays. It's not so much as like, oh, you really should have like Raiden hyper carry or like to be honest, most people who use Raiden nowadays are using her still as the Raiden national. her hyper carry variant is used less than her like right now. Again, maybe it's a skewed stat.
Yeah.
It's not perfect because it's more accessible. That's why more people are using it.
It's true. It is more accessible, and it is really good. I use Raiden Yai Bennett Kazuha, and it is the most versatile for me. It doesn't have the highest ceiling for a single target boss, but it is the most versatile because of the AoE and multi-wave potential, because you can burst down one wave with Yai's burst, then burst down another wave with Raiden. And Genshin loves multi-wave these days. Like, they love multi-wave, and so it's a really nice for that, and it's also very flexible. So that's what I'm using. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to stay true to what you're doing, you gotta let her go.
I know.
You gotta let her go. Cause like I mean, I'm just trying to give you some hopium here, because honestly, like, I've used Raiden C2. My Raiden is C3 with Engulfing Lightning, and even though the crit value is not as high as yours, I've since stopped using her hyper carry as
you know
much.
What's crazy? Okay, so here's the thing about Raiden. So she does such a high percentage of her team damage that when you go, I don't know, are you familiar with Kaching main standards?
No.
Okay, so Kaching mains is Kaching mains overall?
Yeah, I know Kaching mains.
Yeah, so they're the largest, for anyone who doesn't know, they're the largest theory crafting community, and they do a great job. They have an amazing website. It's not gospel, it's not perfect, but they're probably the best one-stop shop for like a website to go for guides and stuff. But their standards, they have a certain standard for crit value. Okay. And so if you use their standard, then you get one number for total DPS, damage per second, for her, either for her hyper team or her national team. So their crit standards for her Raiden, they're probably realistic, but the thing is, you have about equal damage for using Raiden on a damage build in a national team as you do as using Raiden with a Favonius Lance and a Tenacity of the Millilith build.
What?
And that's a realistic Raiden. It's about 200 CV. Okay, it's about 200 CV. That's a realistic Raiden. That's pretty decent. Okay, maybe it's like 190 CV. But then when you go to a hyper carry, okay, the damage drops down. When you go to my Raiden at 240 CV, it just outpaces Raiden on a tenacity build. But the damage on a hyper Raiden from their standards, which is about 200 CV, to my standard, which is 240 CV, the damage goes up by 25% team-wide damage, total team damage. So it's maybe even more. It goes up from 50k to 75k. So actually a 50% increase when I did the calcs. 50% Walrus, just from 40 more crit value. Like, it's a massive difference. And you have to balance her attack and her ER. Like, she is a character that scales off of artifact. It's crazy.
I said this back in the day that Raiden's the quality of artifacts you have to have for Raiden is actually insane for her to feel like good to play. And people ridiculed me back then. People are like,
"No, you're right. You're 100% right. You're wrong that she needs her C2, but you're right that she needs crazy artifact investment."
Yeah, like because I remember the reason. Like, I didn't even do the math, and I figured this out purely just by playing the game. Because I was like, how come my Raiden still feels like Dookie when I'm like I've invested so much into grinding her artifact? Yeah. Why does it still feel so damn bad?
So you need crack artifacts.
Yeah, and then like I was like, okay, I need more stats. I need even more.
And it's the same with Ganyu, right? Like, Ganyu does a massive percentage of her damage on a melt team, and my Ganyu feels like trash because she's only 205 CV, right? Yeah. But M-Tashed destroys every abyss with Ganyu. I'm like, we're not using the same character. This makes no sense. I have Amos Bow as well, and I'm like, I have good artifacts, like really good, but like, it's really interesting. It's a really interesting thing.
I think there's certain breakpoints. Like, there's I just don't know what they are. That's my problem. Like, I'm sure the theory crafters knows it, and maybe some people in chat even know certain characters have very distinct breakpoints that once you pass those points, the character just feels completely different. And it
is crazy how much my Raiden jumped when I got really good artifacts. It is really, really wild.
I mean, what can I say at this point? It's just like Like, are we playing the game or is the game playing us? Truly.
And what am I doing this for, right? Just
Yeah.
for the primo gems, you know.
Yep. For the like Abyss Primo Gems, is it really that worth it? I think to a certain degree you have to be self motivated to
for me it has nothing to do with absolutely nothing. It could take away a primo gem and I would still 36 star the Abyss because it's just like a pride thing. If I can't, you know, and it's not that I judge anyone else on what they do. Like I don't like look at my wife and be like, oh, you've never 36 star the Abyss, you're trash. I don't you know, that's not how I feel. But like for me it's like I don't feel good about myself in this game if I can't 36 star the Abyss and not reset and not going out with different teams. No, it has to be a straight shot all the way through in one clear. Then I feel good about myself. And if I can't, I feel like trash.
Wow, that is very, very. I mean, to beat it is one thing. To beat it in one sitting with one team without like changing, I'm sure now, like back then, that's probably the staple. Like everybody was like, okay, yeah, that's not a big challenge.
It's really hard now.
Yeah, now
that one Abyss was really hard.
Yeah. Now it's really hard. Now if you don't cheese it with like, okay, I beat the first chamber with this, then I'm gonna switch with that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try
it's really easy to cheese it these days. Like it's way easier to cheese it like that than it is to go straight shot. Yep. Way easier. The other thing is, that's another reason why I still like Raiden so much is because, at least for me, she's one of the few characters that I can always go all the way through with and every single Abyss, full stop, Raiden, Yai, Bennett, Cosmo. I've never failed to go through at least on one of the two sides, but there's a lot of characters that I have invested that like their teams can't do that the same way. Like, as much as I do like Kitchening Aggravate, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? Hyper Bloom is another one that does work, right? That one always goes through. Ayaka, lately, if I had a Mist Splitter, I think I would, because I use Haran on her, and when I use Haran, it feels really good. When I use Aminoma, it feels like kind of a bit trashy.
I mean, like when it comes to Abyss, there are certain characters that I swear to God, Hoyoverse has like favoritisms. Like there's clear favoritism for certain characters in the Abyss. Ayaka is like their golden child. It's like no matter what so far, like I've noticed that Ayaka is just like super good.
I agree as long as you have Mist Splitter. If you don't have Mist Splitter, she feels kind of it's similar.
But that's why she's good, because they know for her to be good, you have to have invested in the Mist Splitter.
Yeah.
Which also feels terrible to even say. Like, but now it's like
it didn't used to be that way for her though, because it used to be like, because when Abysses were freezable more, like you know how it used to be that Venti was OP and then it was Cosmo was OP, and now there's these Abysses where freeze doesn't work properly, and then Cosmo's still OP because he has that the buff and stuff, but like the freeze is not OP as OP, and so like in a lot of Abysses, and so like yes, Ayaka can still clear, but you can't do like a Kaya Rosaria freeze team and expect a 36 star. Like it's just that's just not gonna happen.
It's not.
Whereas it used to be able to, because freeze itself was so broken.
I think freeze has always meant to be a supportive like CC thing, as opposed to like the reason why you're clearing it is because of the freeze reaction. Whereas like the reason why Ayaka and freeze work well is because you Ayaka's burst is very difficult to land the full burst if the enemy doesn't remain stationary, right? So
that's right.
freeze just lends to that, and freeze should not be the reason why. Like for example, I mean freeze wasn't the reason why Morgana worked either, but it's just like it's a
sure.
It's like the Kaya Rosaria thing is just like infinitely freezing the enemy so they cannot interrupt you, and then you just have them bunched up, and then you just spam your DPS. And like back then during that era, it's just like that DPS, if you were able to centralize it, was enough to 36 star, right? But nowadays it's like you can use those characters, and yes, the mobs, let's just say they don't move, you just freeze them, and you don't even have enough damage to kill them anymore on time. That's
I think a really invested Kaya, I don't think like Kaya and Rosaria are completely priced out. Like you could do Kaya Rosaria reverse melt stuff and you could get high damage that way if you're well invested in artifacts, but it's getting tough out there. Like if the Abyss gets much harder. Like, I know people are still talking about this, like, oh, the Abyss is so easy, you can use anyone. It's like, it's sort of true, you can use anyone-ish. You can use anyone. Like, I bet you I could clear even the hardest Abyss with every character using only C0 5 stars and C6 4 stars and 4-star weapons. I bet you give me any one character, get Aloy through the Abyss with 36 stars, and I could do it. But like, if it gets very much harder, I feel like we're right on the edge. Like for that 3.7 Abyss, I feel like this new Abyss is easier, but the previous one, we were right on the edge. It was so close to being impossible for like free to play level characters. I think Envy missed the 36 star, right? And I think that's a lot of free to plays. Like, here's the thing: a lot of free to plays don't even care about the Abyss, full stop.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people who do care about the Abyss, they've gone for a C2 run, and they've gone for a C2 Nahida. But I think I have a unique perspective in this. I'm hyper invested to many characters, but they're all at C0 with 4-star weapons, and so I can really feel the squeeze of that DPS check that was that previous Abyss. I felt squeezed. I reset for like 2-3 hours playing that Abyss to get a 36 star my first try.
God damn.
It was hard.
God damn. 2-3 hours. That's content, baby.
I had real content. That's another reason I kind of don't want to C2 is because right now I actually have to play well to 36 star. But if I get C2, I know I won't have to play well. I will just annihilate.
You're like, oops, I accidentally pressed the Q button and they're all dead.
Yeah. So what do you think that they would dare? Do you think that they would dare to price out the C0 R0 players that have touted that Genshin's an easy free to play friendly game and you don't need 5-star weapons, you don't need constellations, just get C0? Do you think that they would dare?
They will when those players eventually quit.
Wow.
Because those players are dying out. Yeah, because think about it. Those players are the ones who are actually clearing the game because their claims are, oh, you can still clear it with C0. And who in the right mind would try to clear the game just C0 unless you're like,
I do feel crazy.
Yeah,
myself through this.
Think about it.
It's why would I get this many characters and not C2 Raiden and Nahida?
Yeah.
C2 Raiden, C2 Nahida, C2 Yelan, and I'm done. Oh, and Nilu the key, Ayaka splitter, and I'm done.
Yeah, the Genshin is a feel-good game, if that makes any sense. It's you invest, you build up, and then you continuously build. I know a guy who got nothing but the Welcome Moon, and then when Ito came out, he just loved the character so much that I think on Ito's rerun, he C6'd them. And he was a Welcome only player. So
badass. That's badass.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So it's just people want to hyper invest into a few characters, and I think it never made sense to me when people claim oh, you're not free to play because you have a signature weapon on your character. That was such a backwards way of thinking. It's just
that's wrong.
It's an elitist mindset basically. It's oh, you're not your achievement is only worth something if you're fully 100% free to play. Right? So anybody who has anything more than the bare necessity to succeed, then your accomplishment immediately is irrelevant. That's their mindset, which is to me it never really made any sense. And those
it makes
players,
sense even less. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying and those players are dying out. They are dying out because
and new players. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
And they have no reason to keep playing. These people, from the sound of it, they need a reason, right? They're the ones who are hyper driven, and then once their accomplishments stops mattering and things becomes okay, they see it going towards its direction, then they're done, they're out, because they know they can't get that clout anymore.
Because there's a sense of accomplishment that comes from earning something in a video game, and Genshin, you can skip that feeling of accomplishment by swiping, right? So you're getting C2 Nahida, C2 Raiden, you can skip that feeling. But if you're there for the adrenaline of satisfying big numbers and just clearing and just killing mobs, then you don't get your satisfaction from earning it. You just get your satisfaction from playing it. And those are two different players. And also that's also what never made sense to me about the free to play elitism. What really never made sense to me is you can just get lucky. Like you look at Mtash, like he doesn't have a free to play account. He's got a Dolphin account at worst. Like his account is
Yeah.
ridiculous. He's got C2 Raiden, all the good 5 stars, R3 Amos vote got you. It's like
Yeah.
what do you that's not so like you could just get lucky or you could spend and if you're spending you're just simulating luck. It's like why would I re-roll for and get lucky and have like what could I do if I just have unlimited time free to play? I just make 10 accounts and wait for the one that turns out to be super lucky, and then I'll just skip all that time spent and it'll just spend money, right? I'm just simulating good luck. That's all.
Yeah. So like and like to me it sounded more like to them that even if you had it, you're not allowed to use it. It's more like a
Right.
like a speed run kind of
Like a badge of
thing.
honor,
Yeah,
challenge
yeah,
run
yeah.
kind of thing.
Like
Which I get. That's kind of what I'm doing, right? That's kind of what I'm doing, but I don't like tell people to play this way.
yeah, you're on purposely like fucking yourself and
Yeah.
taking away from the experience you could have had in order to achieve something greater, right? That's
Correct,
basically
So,
what it
but
is.
here's the new thing. Here's the new thing, and here's what's even crazier. So, I'm seeing this new wave of new players come in, and the thing that they're experiencing though is yes, C0 5 stars is like realistic, and not getting the 4 star is not getting the 5 star weapon kind of realistic. So a C0 5 star at least to start out is realistic, but people tout these free to play clears as you're clearing with C6 Singcho and C6 C5 Bennett with C6 Sucrose and C6 Fischl and C6 all these characters. Never mind C6ing these characters, they can't even get a copy of Singcho. Singcho hasn't rerun for like 9 months or like 6 to 9 months or something like that. They can't even get a copy of these characters. They buy one copy in the Star Glitter shop. They got one from the standard banner, and they got one from Yelan's banner when they first started 6 months ago, which was the last time Singcho was on banner was with Yelan. They can't even get this character. This best character in the game. HoYoVerse has stopped them from even getting that character. Never mind a C6. So like C6 4 stars. Look how many 4 stars there are. I made a whole video on this on my channel. But like, look how many 4 stars there are. You're not getting C6 of all these 4 stars. That's not free to play. Free to play is you get like 1 to 2 copies, maybe 3 if you're lucky, of the good characters, and then you accidentally get a C4 Candace. And we're like, what am I supposed to do with this?
I mean, that's
Like,
that's part of Genshin's like method, right? Of
yeah,
kind
and
of
so
getting you to value the time that these units are around you. Like I think
yes.
a lot of people took for granted how accessible Xingqiu was in the early days of the game. Like he was basically every couple months. He's like, and HoYoVerse used him as a crutch basically to sell on not very popular banners and stuff. Like, oh, throw Xingqiu in there, throw Bennett in there. And nowadays, it's like you have so many units that are waiting for reruns, and Xingqiu, Bennett. I mean, Bennett not so much because Bennett's C1 is good enough. Xingqiu,
He's good at C1.
Xiangling constellations are like pretty good. Getting her
Really,
to C4
really
is
big.
good, right?
Really big.
Waiting on these characters feels like an eternity now, and we really took for granted back then.
Yeah, 100%. And also, someone said in the shop, you can get them in the shop. It's like, yeah, but they rotate like every 6 months. It takes a really long time to get a character from the shop, like a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I think that this does, Walrus, is it makes 5 stars like you can more realistically guarantee yourself. And I've kind of come around to this. I disagreed with this before, but I've kind of come around the more I hear about new players like not having a copy of Singcho and their AR-56. Like they don't have a copy of Sucrose and their AR-58. I'm like, what's going on? And I realized that it actually is easier to get a C2 Yelan for some people than to get a C6 Singcho.
Oh yeah,
Like it truly is. For a decent chunk of the player base, maybe not all, maybe not even the majority, but like for 30-40% of the player base, I'm just picking a number out of my hat. Some people are going to get a C2 Yelan before they get a C6 Singcho.
which is even crazy to think that is a reality, right? But that's just where we're at right now, and HoYoVerse has made it like this.
Yep, and I think that is sort of part when we talk about free to play. Is I think it's harder than ever to talk about what a free to play is and should do, and it's really, really interesting. I don't know.
I think the only metric for free to play is like the only stat that is relevant is whether they spend money. That's literally that should have been just it. The definition is just have you spent money, right? Not like oh, but you have like C2 Ganyu, you're not free to play. Like that is just people like all I hear is just people whining about how unfair it is.
Yeah,
that's all
I did
they're
used
saying.
to say that I'm simulated free to play because I have my 5 stars at C0 with 4-star weapons, but I realize I have the luxury of the 4 stars at C6. That's really hard to do.
Nowadays, yeah, it's like you just
I think you can gun for a couple. Like I think if you're really dedicated to Sing Show, like I think you can make it happen. It's just going to be hard to get, C6 Sing Show, C1 Bennett, and High Constellation Sucrose, Fischl, Kuki, Zhangling.
It's crazy because like if you want the C6 Xingqiu, which I think out of the top tier 4 stars, he's the only one that you should even consider getting to 6 stars. C6 because Bennett C1 just you can stop, and then Zhangling C4 you can stop. He's the only one that you can actually like be even consider like, hey, is it a good idea to get him to C6? Like I should.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Oh, and I guess I forgot the Lantern Right. You can get him from the Lantern Right. So I guess there's that.
Yeah, I mean, like, even then, it's still
you can get two shops a year, and then the Lantern Right, and then you can hopefully get 4 more copies, and you're at C6. I don't know. Maybe I'm overblowing it a tiny bit, but I do think it's worth talking about. Maybe I'm exaggerating just a little bit, but I think it's a worthy point anyways.
Yeah, no, you do have a point. Is that it's definitely difficult now, and with how many 4 stars there are in the game, like waiting for him to come back on a rerun is quite the long wait. And
I guess I would say that it's not that it's really bad right now, but if we continue down this path and nothing shifts, it could get really bad.
Oh, like it's like in my opinion, it's already kind of bad, because like the reason I say that is for every, like, I don't know, like I feel like the sense of time is completely skewed. Once you have the character, days can like weeks can feel like days is what I'm trying to say. But when you don't have these characters and you're waiting and waiting and waiting, like the amount of psychological damage that does to you is
you have no idea the hell I went through not having a single good Animo character for 6 months starting the game. Like I started Walrus, during Kokomi's first banner, so it was 2.1, right?
Yeah.
I just missed Raiden, my favorite character in the whole world. I had to wait for so long for her to rerun. I just missed Ayaka, I just missed Yoimiya, all my favorite characters, and I just missed Kazuha. So I had to wait so long to have a complete account. Like it was finally when I got Kazuha, my account felt complete because I could build my Raiden Yai team. I had my Freeze team. I had everything finally, but that took like he didn't rerun till the end of the very end of Inazu, and I started at the very beginning. It was a rough like 8 months, like not even 8 months. It was like a rough 10 months.
Yeah, but and that 10 month is a grueling 10 months for players.
It was.
Yeah, so it's just like what HoYoverse has essentially done is like basically make you suffer. Right, like teach you how painful it is to wait, teach you how much suffering you have to go through, and then so it's like if you're in the desert for like weeks and then suddenly you come across water, you're gonna guzzle that shit up like, oh my god, it's like it's gonna be the best thing you've ever tasted. And that's the same thing with these characters. They're gonna make you wait for it. They're gonna make you like tense up just in anticipation, and when you finally get it, that sweet dopamine hit is gonna make you addicted. Like
I always wonder about this. I've had a really lucky time. I haven't spent that much money. I've won 18 out of 21 50/50s. So I've had like
that is
a ridiculous,
very lucky.
yeah. So like I wonder, like if I didn't if I didn't win my Yoimiya 50/50, that was the first one. Like most of the time, I always had a plan. Like always had enough wishes saved so that when Raiden came or when Ayaka came, I would have enough to get them. But when Yoimiya came around and was rerunning with Kazuha, if I didn't win both 50/50s, I would have had to spend. And I don't know. Like I was only walking Battle Pass ever at that point, and I don't know if that would have broken me. And I'm very scared to find out. To never find. Well, I'll ask. That'll be one of my questions for God. I'll say, God, would I have spent on the Yoimiya banner, or would I not have? And I'm scared to find the answer.
Most people don't have the strength to not spend in those situations. That's the scary thing, and that's what Hoyoverse is banking on as well. That you don't.
I think this. Yeah. Go ahead.
They're just banking on the fact that you can't resist it.
Yeah, I think the scariest part for me though is once you delve into the dolphin territory, once you go for C2 Raiden, Ayaka with Mist Splitter, Nahida C2, Yalan, where does it end? Now you get Hu Tao, C1 R1. Now all your characters feel like trash compared to those characters.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Like Hoyoverse really leaves you to your own like demise. Like they leave you in that space and make you feel like insignificant, right? Like it's just like whew, scary stuff. They're very good at it too. They're very good at it.
It's so unassuming. You think you're so safe because you can clear the game. You don't need to spend. They're not forcing you to spend. They're not shoving, daily deals down your throat. They're not accidentally opening the shop on you and pushing you to always tell. They're not always telling you, hey, purchase more resin to upgrade you. They're not telling you when you fail the abyss, they're not pulling up the wish screen and showing you Kokomi. Here's how you could have not died. They're not doing any of that.
Yeah.
It's like it's all like you have no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah. Because
but they make you love the characters.
All they had to do was make you fall in love with the characters. That's it.
That's right.
They just need to put in enough effort to make sure the characters feels enticing enough, and that's all they had to do. They'll leave the rest of the time and yourself, because like you will do it to yourself. They don't need to do anything to you. This is it's like the same
That's
thing.
true.
Like less is more. Less is more. This is so true with Genshin.
They rob you, but they're classy about it.
Yeah. No, they make you rob yourself.
You rob yourself.
Yeah. They just stand there and they just look at you. They don't say anything. Like, and then you just start taking out your money and handing it to them, and then they don't even take it. Sometimes they're just like, okay. They shrug their shoulders like, if that's what you want, sure. Yeah. They reluctantly take the $100 bills from your hand like they really don't want it. It's like, oh, okay, I'll just.
They're doing you a favor.
Yeah, like,
and you're thanking them.
Yeah, like, oh my god, thank you so much for making Hu Tao so cute. Like, oh, thank you so much. Like, Hoyoverse, you're literally. To be fair,
she's really, really cute.
Yes, I bet she is. I bet she is.
I want her to C1 and R1 so bad. It's crazy.
Never admit that you sometimes dream about Raiden Shogun visiting you.
Oh my god. Oh my god, we're not gonna go there. But Raiden is
say it.
So my new obsession though is chlorined. I think that I just saw her leaked like detailed model, and she's like, Electro is my favorite element and sword is my favorite weapon. I just think it's just like Raiden. The only thing missing from Raiden is that, I don't know, I do really like Polearm, but I don't know, I like Raiden with her sword so much better. So if, I don't know, Chlorine has a chance. As long as they don't butcher her kit, make her a 4-star and put her on standard, they have a chance.
They have a chance for you to what? Say it, Jello, say it. Say it loud for the Hoyover spies in the chat.
She might become my favorite character.
That you will maybe. I
won't admit to anything.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see for the day to come. Watch, that one statement was enough for Hoyoverse to be like, write that down. Write that down. Change her from 4-star to 5-star right now. Take her off the standard banner.
Oh my god, please. Hey, if they do that, this is all worth it. I'll say whatever I have to.
Make her the Yelena Fontaine.
Dude, if she is the Yelena Fontaine, oh my god, I'm gonna be so excited.
But like, if we're gonna go down this rabbit hole, like, is she gonna be an aggravate, or is she gonna be a hyper bloom? character,
Mm.
right? Because
Ooh, I don't care. You make her Hyper Bloom, please. Hyper Bloom, please. Hyper Bloom, please. I want an on-field good
what
Hyper Bloom
if,
character.
here's the big left field attack that I'm gonna throw out here.
Oh
What
no.
if she is supposed to be played with the Geo character for Electro Crystallize?
That'd be sick.
But she is
Okay.
like, but that's like a good thing. Like it's kind of meta. When once Navia comes out, her Navia together, or she's supposed to be played with the judge dude, because she's kind of like following him around, right? Like
The only thing I would kind of hate is if her best team. What I hate is when if her best team is just full of husbandos. That's gonna make me sad.
oh,
That's what make me sad. I don't care about anything else. As long if she's full of husbandos, I'm gonna be sad. Or I'm not a fan of baby characters. I'm not a fan of Nahida design wise.
Interesting. Okay, Hoyoverse, did you get all that?
Her best team needs to be. Oh God, I don't know. I guess it can't be Aggravate because all the Dendro characters are male. Except
Somebody said like, what if she's mono Electro? Like basically, she plays with I'm guessing
that's basically Raiden then.
yeah, Raiden.
Just like a literal side grade to Raiden, that would be hilarious to me. They release a Electro hyper carry DPS, doesn't work with Dendro for some whack reason, and it's just like a side grade to Raiden. You use Yai, Bennett, Cosmo. It's just the same character. That would be kind of sad, I guess. But if she's better, I'm not. If she's better at Caesar, I'm not going to complain. If she's worse, then I'll complain.
I think Fontaine characters, apart from the Archon, they're gonna really try to incentivize us to maybe get like C1, get their weapons and stuff. I think they're moving towards that nowadays because they
Lenny for sure is that way.
yeah, because they have to do that as well because they have to eventually scale up the Spar Abyss. And if they don't,
Do you really think that they will?
They will.
So crazy. Everyone I've asked this to, I've asked a lot. I've asked multiple creators and TCs and just multiple people. Everyone is sure that they won't.
I'm sure they will. You see, I've always been the guy who goes against the grain. But hey, I haven't always be correct, but I have a pretty positive track record when it comes to, and I think they're gonna do it because okay, here's the thing. Right now, the characters that they're releasing are not strong compared to the older characters, but the older characters, if you get them into high enough constellation, they're still absolutely smashing the Abyss. The amount of headroom they still have in the Abyss in terms of like longevity and overall vertical investment is huge.
Do you think that by Celestia you're gonna need C6?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I think there's gonna get a point where ideal character investment, meaning like you want your Hu Tao at C1 with Staff of Homa. That's like ideal investment, right? You're gonna like if you want to be competitive in Spar Abyss and finish 36 stars, like your Scaramouche is gonna need your C6 Fadozan. Like now he doesn't. He really doesn't right now. Like you can, he kind of does, but he also kind of does. You know what I mean? Like it's doable.
I think the other thing for me with Scaramouche is my Scaramouche. I think he's another. Well, actually, I know this for a fact. He's another character like Raiden. I haven't been fair to Scaramouche in the stream. All the Scaramouche wanters, I'm sorry. He's the same as Raiden. Is that he's massively hyper carry, and mine is like 210 CV. It would probably be a lot better if I had 250 CV Scaramouche with C6 Farzan. I would probably be singing a different tune. I also don't have I have the Widsith. I don't have a 5-star Catalyst for him. So
yeah,
that's
like if you have Scaramouche right now with a free-to-play weapon with no Fadozan, you're definitely struggling. Like,
well, I'm to be honest with you, I'm struggling with C6 Farzan with a 4-star weapon.
Yeah,
on 210. I'm struggling in this Abyss right now.
It's like I don't know. Ideal investment into 5-star characters is probably going to start becoming a thing as we approach Shiznaya. That's how I feel like, and to compensate for that, I think they might make units that are closer to release at that point, or they're either going to make stronger units or they're going to make systems that make newer units just easier to play. And like for example, the Dendro system. Exactly. So like they have these systems in place to make sure that in the future they have the headroom to play with if they still want to push the game.
I don't know if you read the Abyss cards I don't know if you read the Abyss cards through Dendro, but like 80% of all the abysses gave like massive buffs to Dendro characters in the abyss cards, and so it's just like it secretly made the Dendro. Although Dendro is probably some of the best teams in the game, especially Hyperbloom.
Yeah.
They inflated it even more by the abyss cards.
And I think the more they push Dendro, what it really tells me is that there's just so many new players in the game right now. They're very carefully monitoring the stats to make sure that the playing environment is not supposed to be favorable, but it leans towards these players, and so they can chase their goals. I think that's what they're trying to nurture, is for these players like, oh my god, like I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to invest in this, I need to invest in that, and they can see clear goals that they can chase after, as opposed to something that's arbitrary and like abstract and distant.
Right, I can go for C2 Yelan, I can go for C2 Nahida, C2 Raiden, I could misplay Neely with the key.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how they're gonna do this until it gets to a point where they realize, okay, everybody's at a point, and we've kind of, because there's not an infinite amount of players that can join the game. There will be a point where they realize, okay, we've pretty much reached as many people as we can.
That's true. That's true. We're not there yet, but that's true.
Once that breakpoint hits, they're gonna change the game.
It'll be when Asmongold starts playing the game.
That's gonna be it. Like, oh, we got him. Cancel all the ads. We got him. That's it. All right, now scale the game up vertically. Go. Yeah, but like, it probably won't be like in an instant, but you'll start to feel it. Like, and I'll say this right now, you'll start to see Genshin ads less and less during that period of time, and then the game is going to start ramping up more and more, like it over like multiple patches. You're going to see it happen, because that's when they're going to scale up vertically. They're going to make sure that the players that are left who still want to chase these goals that they're setting up, now the goals, instead of getting like blah 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 blah, is to take what you have and now scale it up vertically, get the constellations.
That's when we get floor 13. We get
like, and the co-op Spiral Abyss.
You ascend to Celestia for co-op Spiral Abyss.
Yeah, level 100. Talent level 15.
Yeah. 7th Ascension or whatever.
Yeah, you got a whale for Tartaglia's freaking Harbinger form.
You get a whale. Yeah. He actually drops a whale on you when you whale for him.
Yep. La Signora comes back.
Oh my god.
Venti becomes meta again.
This would be like the greatest day of my life if this happened. I would drop like a grand on this game, and I'd feel so good about it.
Oh, HoYoverse, did you hear that? They released Zhongli's Archon skin. Full on particle effects.
Can you imagine? They don't release his Archon skin. They just released new Zhongli, and he's like an on-field badass main DPS.
Oh, his Archon hair. Form.
He's in his dragon form. Raiden is like
Raiden's on top of him. Raiden is riding on top of Zhongli in his dragon form. Oh my god.
Oh no.
She's butt ass naked. No.
Oh my god. Demonetized. My wife might be listening. Oh my god.
Yeah, people are saying they're actually rumored about Zhongli's skin. Yeah, because we've been talking about it so much. Like, I'm literally over here drooling over a dude in his like Archon form. That's unheard of.
The most recent leaks were actually. Do you want to hear what the skins were supposed to be?
Yeah, skin leaks.
Yeah, it was Ganyu Singcho.
Oh my god. Ganyu.
Can you imagine if they release Singcho, but he's still in shorts?
Can you imagine they release Singchu, but he's dressed like Ganyu? Like, HoYoverse stonks. Like, I wouldn't. I'm not even joking. If they just released a skin with Shinchu dressed like how Ganyu and Shinhe is dressed like, that's HoYoverse stonks immediately. Like, all the entire female player base is gonna fund the game for the next 6 months. Instantly.
I feel like Linny is basically that.
Yeah, you see, I'm gonna be paying close attention to Linny sales, and then through Linny sales, we can see how big of a like buying power the female demographic has in this game.
I hope Linny tank. To be fair, only some. My wife is not a fan of any short male, basically.
Like femboys or just short males.
Femboys. She doesn't mind albedo, and pretty much that's the only one. Like but she loves Zhongli, Alhaitham. She even got Ito, but she didn't like Ito as much, but she got him. But like Zhao, Sino, she's not a fan at all.
Oh, so
Toma,
like
she loves.
okay.
Child, she loves.
So she likes the bulkier ones, the
She
taller,
likes
bulkier
men,
one. Yeah, okay. I see.
Men,
Well,
not
see,
boys. Yeah.
I see. This is the question I have. Like, I wonder what type of female demographic are really into the femboys, because for Hoyoverse to not do it once, twice, but like
Anytime. Actually, it's my wife's sister is into both. She loves all the short animo characters, and
I think like the strong male like type of characters are usually supposed to be like the girls kind of swoon, right? Like oh my god,
right.
So handsome. But then the femboy, the cute smaller boy, like the boy characters, they're supposed to oh he's so cute. Like that's kind of like the reaction is kind of like they're going after, and it's like.
Right.
And we have to agree, the female demographic
guys are way more simple.
Oh yeah, guys, we have one metric for the for the ladies. Like I don't think I need to say what metric it is, but it's very.
It was
simple.
really funny watching Asmongold's Star Rail waifu tier list, and at the end of it, he like put them all in. He's like, no, I think that's what right. And then at the end of it, someone was just like, this is just a boob tier list. Tier list, and he was like, oh my god, you're right. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
And like on the CN server, people are like super memeing about the Navia. Have you heard about it?
What about it?
Okay, I want let's look at something real quick, and I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Here's
also we should watch the Lenny teaser that just came out.
Oh, okay, perfect. Let's Genshin Impact. Navia drama. It's not so much drama. It's just people are like, yo, Hoyoverse, you're a $1 billion company. Like, tell your graphic designers to add just like one line where it's
I noticed that first
where it's very important. There's a line missing on Navia's character design. And for the ladies,
I did notice that.
For the ladies in the chat, we're about to do something very indecent. So if you, where is
this is gonna be bad. I personally noticed. I haven't said anything to anybody yet, so I'm glad you brought this up and not me.
Like, okay, wait. Does she have it here? Oh, she kind of has it here. It's like people. Okay, on CN they are complaining Navia's chest is not like
defined.
Yeah, it's like I
need to make this bigger. Yeah,
that's what they're saying. They're like they say they feel like they're staring at a dude. Like
okay, so here's the thing. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the in-game model. Like, is it just the shadow of the necklace, or is something actually missing?
We need to, and so CN has a huge issue.
You're skipping over Chlorine.
Oh.
It's okay.
Wait, she's a sword character, right? Like I heard people were saying, look at that.
Oh my god.
Like zip. What if she's like Kaching 2.0?
So
what if she's like Kaching on crack? Then she's like
good
aggravate.
as a gun. That would be so insane, dude. She would be so sick.
Oh, and Mr. Worldwide, like this is so okay. When Tartaglia came in, it's so freaking funny. It's like it's actually
my wife was
meme.
Hype. My wife was hype.
I mean, like it's such a meme. He literally had nothing to do with him at all. Like
no,
and he just jumped in like after this whole combat sequence. Like everything's building up. You're like so tense at the edge of your seat. Da 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 da. And at the very end, it's me, Tartaglia. Like he's the payoff. You realize like if you listen to the audio, like he's like the payoff here. Like
in your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you hold so dear.
Bam! The payoff, Tartaglia. What the fuck? hey, take a wild guess who's gonna be the surprise guest in that, Lin.
So funny. So funny,
bro.
Okay, go back, but we're on a mission here. Go back to Navia and let's figure this out once and for all.
You see,
this is peak two dudes playing Genshin Impact. This is crazy.
And this is not even the worst. The biggest offense to this is when they showed the original like.
The original art was really bad. like for this.
Like the whole Fontaine characters that they showed all of them. Was it this
Look
one?
at my no, look at my thumbnail. Look at my I have her on one of my recent thumbnails.
Jello Impact. Take a look. Go in here.
It's the
This one.
the artifact one. See?
Let's take
So
a
you
look.
can see her right there. Oh, the thumb. Oh, you can see the
Yeah.
thumbnail. Nice.
Yeah, it's like it's non-existent. CN has a
There's
huge
nothing.
problem with this. A big problem. So we'll have to see about that.
Yeah. That's why I think she's standard.
Because they didn't spare the budget for that.
No, they intentionally leave it out so that I don't know why. They're crazy. They're so whack. They remind me of I feel like I dealt with the exact same company with Pokemon where they just do things to be different. Like they just break their patterns just to mess with you so that you can't predict what's coming.
I mean, Hoyoverse at this point, I know they're not fully money driven because if they were, we would be getting a skin every single patch. You know, like,
Literally.
yeah.
Why don't we get a skin every patch? I would actually be fine with that.
It's because like I don't know why they want to do it in a way where it doesn't make them feel so money hungry.
I think you know what you're able to. I think I've read somewhere that you're able to get Welkin, and if you've been getting Welkin all the time, then you can get like every skin or something like there's something like
they
that.
space it out just so like all the Welkin
can
players
afford it
can
with
get the
Welkin.
skins.
Yeah, and also the other thing they did, which I thought was really interesting, we're getting new, like you heard, we're getting new battle pass weapons finally.
Yeah, 5 more.
And it's right at the exact time that if you've been playing from the beginning, buy on the battle pass every single time. As of this exact patch, you just R5'd your final battle pass weapon, and now you can get a new one.
You see, this is the kind of stuff that I wouldn't even think about, but Hoyoverse is keeping track of this stuff most likely.
They're playing 4D chess. They're on Celestia playing 4D chess. They are
Like, imagine if we get to the end, we open Celestia and it's just Dawei sitting there as the final boss. And then his first attack is a psychological one. It's like, how much have you spent on this game?
Emotional damage.
Yeah, he just like his first attack is like, it's tailored to every account. He just opens up a bank statement to how much money you spent on the game and he just shows it to you. And it's like, it's detailed to like to the day.
Emotional damage.
And immediately players just get stunned and he immediately launched like a backhand bitch slap
so
on your
funny.
character.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Followed by that is like, do you know Raiden is a dude? Look more carefully.
No, that's my worst.
Yeah, you
That's
see
my worst
the mental attacks. Dawei is like, oh my god, the final boss. And then like at the very end, he reveals his yacht that he's purchased. He's like, you like my yacht?
Oh,
I bought it with your money. You paid for this. You paid for this plank right here on the floor.
I did not expect this stream to be such a painful experience.
But yeah,
Do you want to watch the Lilini teaser?
Oh yes. Almost forgot about it. Genshin Impact, Lene. All right. Okay, I'm in. I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
1 second. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, let's go.
Transcend the mundane world. That which is mysterious captivates us all. So, did you have a good look?
Damn, he's hot.
Yep. That's definitely empty.
How many new players do you think get baited and think he's a girl and actually wish for him?
Whoa! Amazing! How did you do that?
I think maybe like
In
3
the space
to
of a short
5%.
performance, a
I
magician
feel like
shattered the
new
barrier
players
between
don't have the
reality
eye.
and
They're not
fantasy.
trained. They don't know. They don't realize. I thought Venti was a girl when I first started. I thought Xingqiu was a girl.
Oi,
Ah.
this isn't what I ordered. I clearly asked for a cider.
Hey, you asked for a glass of our finest wine. Maybe you've had enough.
Oh, yeah, right. You think I don't know what I ordered?
There. How how about you take another look at your drink?
Yeah, that's the stuff. The sweet smell of apples. What the? I swear I was just holding.
In the eyes of most people,
This feels like a
magic tricks
weird
are like
dream.
miracles.
Can't wait for the Lenny cosplayers at the next.
But as magicians,
Oh, big cosplay
we
energy,
prefer
yeah.
to think that great miracles are like magic tricks.
Can he turn like? Can he make primo gems out of nothing? Is that that would be a great magic trick.
That would be a great magic trick. Well, I don't know. I'm not really hyped for him.
Me too.
Personally.
I'm saving for Full Solor. That's it. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Full Solor. Because I don't, like I said, I don't want to pull for the sake of pulling. I want these characters to be like fun,
Impactful.
playable, impactful. I want to keep playing them and having uses for them as opposed to just having them sit in a storage room. My
Yeah, I
storage
think
room.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Arlecchino. Oh yeah, how do you pronounce that? Like the Fatui agent. How do you?
Should be Arlecchino.
Oh,
should be
You say Arlecchino.
Arlecchino, like a chino, like it's Italian. It's Italian, right?
Oh, Arlecchino. I always say Arlecchino. I thought double
Because
C's make a k sound.
But I don't know.
Somebody was saying Articuno.
That's great.
Arlecchino. Well, maybe her. Yeah, maybe her.
Arlecchino.
Arlecchino. That's how the people pronounce it. Arlecchino.
No, I was just trying to figure out the weirdest way I could pronounce it.
Yeah, because like when you say cappuccino is spelled with two C's, right? So that's what.
That's right.
Arlecchino.
That's right. So I think it's Arlecchino.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
it's
see.
like they're like based on. Are they based on? Like all they're all like from that play, right? That fancy.
Yeah.
Fancy play.
What was it called again?
I'm
I
so
forgot.
not up on the lore. I forget too, but they're all from that one play, and I thought it was Italian, or is it French? I don't know. It's European.
Yeah, maybe we can figure out what happens to the Fatui if we just read the play.
They're well, I've watched a lot of lore channels.
Oh, it's
We've not
called
figured that yet.
Commedia dell'arte.
That's it. Yeah, Commedia dell'arte.
Yeah,
And what nationality is that based out of?
that sounds French. I don't know, or Italian. But yeah, Italian. Okay, it's Italian.
It is Italian. There you go. Yeah, there we go. So I'm not crazy because I know Tartaglia is Italian, and then Arlecchino sounds Italian. So yeah, so I'm going with Arlecchino. I'm also Italian.
They're
so there you
basically the Italian mafia of Genshin Impact.
Correct. But they're from Russia.
Yeah.
Naya. Go figure.
Interesting. This is why it's so much better to just live in a fantasy world.
True.
All right. So we did a 3-hour live stream today. This is the second last live stream. Saturday would be the last one. But yeah, it's time to call it.
Yeah.
It was a great talk, though.
Well,
thank you so much,
It was a
Jello,
great talk. Yeah, it was
for
a
joining.
pleasure.
And
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
no worries. So people, if you want, go check out Jello's channel. You guys already saw we were there just now. Just search Jello Impact, JELLOIMPACT. So go check him out. Got a bunch of content. I saw he was talking about, what was that video that I just saw? The do's and don'ts.
For many players,
Yeah.
Oh, Jello.
That's like a test video to see how new the player base really is.
It's pretty new, isn't it?
There were a lot of comments that were older players giving tips, but I do think that there wouldn't be that many views just in one day, just from old players, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed newer players nowadays don't like to interact as much. They just come in, watch the thing, and then they move on. They leave.
Right.
They're not very committed to any channel. They're more so committed to the content that they're
Right.
looking for. So
Right.
more difficult to establish that connection. Like you said, like it's very different when you all went through the same experience together. When the trailers come out for something hype, you all experience that and you bond over that, right? But these people don't have anything to really bond with you over. It's just like you're providing something, they're here to consume, and that's the relationship you have. It's one is giving, one is taking, and that's it. There's no sense of like, oh, I owe you anything or anything like that, right? Like, it's like a mutual exchange. But I think it could work if they really enjoy your content or your personality and they watch for like 3-4 months and then they'll eventually they'll be like, okay,
then they'll subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. But that's very difficult.
But
you
I
basically
do-
have to bangers after bangers for like 3 months.
Yeah. But for all the people here, I do a lot of content that's hopefully enjoyable for older players as well. I post daily videos, so there should be something for everyone.
Yep. Okay, everybody.
Thanks, Walrus. Appreciate it.
No problem. Oh, that's gonna be it for me as well, chat. I'll see you guys. See you later, and bye.
Peace out.
Peace. Okay, chat. It's time. One more stream. And then it's probably not going to happen until December or January, maybe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, urge y'all to stay safe. Peace. Bye.